Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs of caring for your home. Out, procrastination, putting it off, kicking the can down the road. In, plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out, carpet in the bathroom. Like, why? In, knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week, in Auburn, Indiana, a carnival of satanic workers comes to town, leaving behind about the most horrific murder scene imaginable and causing panic all throughout the area. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. We are ecstatic to be here once again. I can't complain at all. This is wonderful. There is murder, but you know what? We're going to have fun, and we're going to do it anyway because there's murder everywhere. So let's have a good time. With that said, I want to thank everybody for everything you've done for us this week. First of all, reviews, they help a lot. You think they don't? They do, actually. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon, do help a lot. So please do that if you haven't done that yet. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now, where you can get everything you could possibly want for crime and sports and small town murder. And if you haven't listened to Crime and Sports, you're missing out. You should check out the last episode. It was like a cold case, or 2 before that, the Willie Cannon Shannon. It was like a cold case murder. So very little sports there, just a lot of craziness. Check all that out. Get your merchandise for everything that we do, and also, most importantly, tickets to live shows.
It's happening.
They are coming back.
Yeah.
They're the end of 2021 and all throughout 2022. We have all sorts of live shows, so get your tickets right now. We are very, very excited to come and see you doing all that stuff. Patreon.com/crime and sports. The shows, they've been so good, honestly. They're the most fun. This week's shows that we put up that we know you're going to love because they're crazy shows. First of all, there's backstage wrestler fights for the ones. So crazy, roided up guys on recreational drugs as well, with brain damage, beating the crap out of each other.
Fighting for bizarre reasons.
In an unsanctioned manner. That's hilarious right there. And then for the small town murder one, we did old-timey murders and from old newspapers, and good God, was it a good batch of them. Oh, wow.
Find out how a man is his own grandfather.
A man is his own grandfather, and another man's brain is kicked to jelly. So you can hear all about that. It's a lot of waylaying and all sorts of interesting terminology that you'll love. You'll get access to everything if you sign up for Patreon. And in addition to that, you'll also be a producer, so you'll get a shout-out at the end of the show. Jimmy will mispronounce your name while trying his best to pronounce it properly.
I assure you.
Oh, definitely. You'll get all of that, and we assure you the shows are hilarious. They really are. The Patreon shows are the best. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Do that, and if you just want to be a producer, have your name messed up at the end of the show, and have our undying love and affection, of course, you can do that over at PayPal as well, using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. That said, it's time for the disclaimer.
Yes.
This is a comedy show.
It is.
It's a murder show as well. All the facts are real. These are real murders. It's not like there's, we're making things up so it's funny. It's not like that. It's really, really bad things that we find funny stuff around. That's how it works here. It's not fun to say, like, then the head was severed from the body. Oh, that's hilarious. That's not funny. There's nothing funny about that, so we're not going to make a joke about that. But the idea of, I bet I can kill this person, tell everybody I know, and still get away with it. I bet that's funny. We'll make fun of that all day long. Bad, it's stupid. A small town that the police force lets the guy go free for 10 years. We make fun of murderers.
Plan, terrible dismount.
Bad stuff. So all of that, we'll make fun of that. But what we do not do is we go out of our way not to make fun of the victim or the victim's family.
Why?
Because we're assholes.
Why?
But we're not scumbags.
There it is.
That's how it works there. So if that sounds good to you, I'm telling you, we're going to have a good time. If not, if you think true crime and comedy should never, ever go together, you might not like the show. Might not be for you, but it might be for you because I don't think it's exactly what you think it is. But that said, everybody remaining, I think it's time to sit back, clear the old lungs, and shout, shut up and give me murder. Let's do this, Jimmy.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's go on a trip, shall we?
Boy, would I like it.
Oh, baby. We are going here. We're going all the way to Indiana this time.
Oh.
Coming from, of course, Rhode Island, where we have
Are we sure we want to go to Indiana ever again? Indiana has given us so much fucking problems.
Given us grief there, and you know what? We're going to keep going back. What do we do? What do we do when Anniston gave us grief? Anniston, Alabama, we did another episode about them. That's what we do. So, in Anniston, that's how we do it. So... That's how we're going to do this. And we're going to Auburn, Indiana, which I didn't know there was an Auburn in Indiana. So,
someone famous is from Auburn, Indiana, aren't they?
Not that I know of.
I swore I've heard of Auburn, Indiana.
Well, here it is. You've heard of it now. It's in northeastern Indiana, all the way near the Ohio border there, all the way over far eastern. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes to Indianapolis, about an hour and 40 minutes to Toledo.
Okay.
Which is, just Toledo, Ohio, and about 2 hours and 20 minutes to Lafayette, Indiana, which was our last Indiana episode, episode 195, back in October of 2020. And so this is in the middle of nowhere, essentially. There's not, Fort Wayne is the nearest big place. You know what I mean? So it's not exactly a thriving metropolis around here. It's in DeKalb County, area code 260. It's about 7.5 square miles, the town, so it's not a huge place.
It's a little guy.
It's a little place, yeah. The motto here for the town, and this is their motto, quote, home of the classics.
Oh.
Which sounds like a radio station, call thing. Home of the classics, 98.6. And they have like a sting of like taking care of business in the background.
You're damn right.
Free bird and shit. So it's the motto.
Poughkeepsie Steakhouse.
Yeah, exactly. Very Wednesday night at the Poughkeepsie Steakhouse. So there's an ending to that, though, that they cut off. The problem is it's on the website. So, I mean, it's kind of messed up. Say the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's, quote, home of the classics because everyone else has left. So it's, it's a little more fills in the blanks here a little bit. We're going to go through just a touch of the history just to get a couple of disasters that happened out of the way because those are always fun. In 1841, malaria ran through town.
Oh, boy.
So that happened here.
Yeah.
That's bad.
And that's not like the name of somebody that was on a cross-country journey, right? That's the actual disease?
It wasn't a young girl sowing her oats through the countryside. It was terrible disease.
Oh, boy.
And in 1843, a horrible storm completely destroyed the cabins, the crops, just completely wiped life out there. This horrible storm. So it's bad stuff. So 6 years later, they incorporated because we have to have a town here, obviously, between the malaria and the.
We're going to force it to happen.
We're going to force it to happen. We will stay here. That's the thing. The human will. It doesn't matter. Look at you drive through places. They cut paths through stone mountains. It doesn't matter. We'll go through a mountain. Around it? No. We're going through it. That
takes too long.
It's crazy.
We don't live long enough for that shit.
No, it's a very short amount of time.
My son keeps asking me, when we ruin this planet, where are we going to go? And I'm like, son, anywhere that we could go, we can't live long enough to get there. It doesn't matter.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's unless we have and then you get into unless we can figure out how to harness light as a fuel source or whatever. I don't know how that's going to possibly
happen.
Pretty
well fucked, son.
We're pretty well fucked unless you figure out how to refuel on Neptune. I think we're in trouble. So, by the end of the Civil War, this town had about 700 people in it. So it was growing a little bit. In 1872, another storm came and destroyed a shitload of things. Destroyed just the Odd Fellows Hall, which is a social club there. Destroyed the Methodist Episcopal Church.
Yep.
And so then they had built a new brick block, a whole block of buildings in a brick area because they're like, we're not going to be down by a storm again, you son of bitches. No one's going to Dorothy us ever again. It's not going to happen. And then a few months later, the entire block of brick buildings collapsed and destroyed, and just collapsed. I don't know. They
shoddy masonry.
Forgot to put grout in between or mortar in between them or what, but I'm not sure. But the whole block collapsed, which must have been crazy to watch.
That's amazing.
That must have been great. The fact that it happened so long ago, it would be hilarious to see, I know there was no cameras back then, but to see footage of black and white, little tiny people scurrying away like Babe Ruth rounding the bases all fast.
Really fast because everything happened. All the video is super sped up. And they ran fast anyway, and they ran even faster on camera.
I was going. Fuck, it's hilarious. The Auburn Automobile Company, founded in 1900, produced its first automobile in 1903. William Wrigley Jr., who is the Wrigley Field guy there, and Arrett Loban Cord controlled interest in the company that eventually acquired Duesenberg, Lexington, and Lycoming engines, and they started the Cord Car Company.
Awesome.
So these are these classic cars. The company failed in 1937, so they had it's a limited
20-year run.
It's a limited run, so I don't know how many of those cars exist anymore, but they're probably collector's items, I'd imagine. The Auburn Rubber Company started in 1913 as the Double Fabric Tire Company.
Okay, tires.
Sounds attractive there. It became a huge manufacturer of rubber toys, and then it left in 1959.
Yeah.
This place, as we'll talk about in the economy, a lot of manufacturing, it booms and busts a lot. So that happens. People come, people go. John Dillinger... And we've had this in another place before. Him and his accomplices robbed the Auburn police station.
Oh, rad.
Remember we talked about that in another town that happened in. I think it was in Kansas or something. In 1933.
Took all their guns and shit?
Yeah. October 14th, 33, stealing a submachine gun, 2 steel vests, 3 rifles, 6 pistols, and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition.
Unbelievable.
So they would raid
I think it was
stations.
Peru, Indiana.
It might have been Indy, so he might have been just going through Indiana, tearing through, busting out the local police stations for their arms. The city logo is based on the former Auburn Automobile Company logo. It's like the same exact logo they use. So that's why they say home of the classics and all that shit. So reviews of this town. Here's a 5-star. They love this place. They're all about it.
Fans.
Auburn, Indiana is an amazing little town. I mean, that's a strong first line. It's a headline. I was born at the hospital in Auburn, Indiana, and currently live about 5 minutes from the hospital. Okay. I was born 23 years ago.
5 minutes in their whole life?
Whole life. And I was born 23 years ago. We are a small town where everyone knows everyone, and although some people may not like that concept, I love it. Okay. The reason I love it, give me some backstory, Chief. The reason I love it is because we have an amazing community. Auburn's community went through quite a bit in 2016 as we lost more teenagers than normal, mostly from car accidents. How many?
Good grief.
Epidemic of, that's crazy. The way the community came together and supported each other in these hard times was amazing. Terrific. Okay. I love Auburn, Indiana because we love each other, and that's something you just do not see in very many places anymore. Oof. Geez, they're really into it. 3 stars here, this one. There are several ethnic restaurants, such as Mongolian, Chinese, Greek, and authentic Italian. I'm sure it's terrific.
Yeah, right.
It's there are also the normal fast food restaurants and chain restaurants. The specialty, quote unquote, restaurants are awesome, offering some authentic quinine. I think they mean cuisine, but it says quinine and drink. Quinine with a Q. The much less. I don't know. The French version of that.
Yeah.
The fast food restaurants offer the typical menus. I don't care, Bob Evans, whatever. 3 stars. Here's a 3-star. Quote, most people in this area are farmers and most are friendly and churchgoers. Okay. Great.
3 stars.
Sounds like a lot of fun. 3 stars. Great. People, 13,004. That's how many, that's the population here.
It is
now.
small.
Small, up 39% since 1990. So people have come, and then it's kind of flattened out since about 2000. Few more males than females, which is obviously not normal. It's usually the other way around.
Right.
Median age is about 40, which is a couple of years older than the national average, so not too much different. A couple less married people than normal, which is not what you'd expect in a town that's, family, church-going farmers. Right. You'd think they'd all hook up pretty quick. Not a lot of single people with no children, though. Single, no children, 4%.
Wow.
It's a needle in a haystack, everybody, if that's what you're looking for.
That is tough going.
Yeah, if you're single with no children and looking for the same, good luck. Race of this town, pretty goddamn white. 97.1% white.
It's about as white as it gets.
It's about as white. 0.3% black. That's not much at all. 0.2% Asian. 1.9% Hispanic. So,
wow.
White, very white.
Very, yeah.
We have religion, 41% religious, which is actually under the national average.
Yeah.
It's usually 50-50, and it's spread out pretty decent. Some Methodists, a Lutheran or two, some Catholics, around here. A lot of other Christian, whatever that is. 0.0% Jewish, though. That's not happening.
Jesus potpourri.
It's exactly what it is. A nice Jesus smoothie going on here. Just Jesus, though.
Yeah.
DeKalb County, in the whole county, it's a pretty rural county here. The last presidential election, 25.3% voted Democrat, 72% voted Republican, and the about 2% independent here. Unemployment rate here is a little bit lower than the national average, actually. They're doing pretty well with the manufacturing right now. Household income's also a touch low. It's almost 58,000 in the rest of the country. Here it's about 47,000. So it's a little bit low, but apparently everybody has a job. There's 3 times the manufacturing jobs as usual in this town. So that can...
Everybody's in a factory somewhere.
A big factory closes down. That's trouble. That's a lot of people out of work, but a new one comes in. That's a shitload of jobs, and wages go up. So cost of living, 100 is regular, average, par. Here, cost of living we have is 76.
That's decent.
It's decent. Housing is the lowest thing out of everything, though. It's a 59. So
boy.
We have the median home cost here is $136,600. So
yeah,
very
block, no mortar.
No, yeah, very, very affordable, let's just say. About 70% of the houses here are worth less than $150,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very affordable. It's just
That's one way of saying it.
Yeah, if you look at it, it's in a place where you can't, it's not like you can commute around.
Yeah.
You're not going to commute to Indianapolis or something like that. So the ceiling in a smaller area for income is there's a certain cap on that unless you have your own business or something of that nature.
Is the biggest city that's close by somewhere in Ohio?
It's Fort Wayne, Indiana. Because the nearest city in Ohio is Toledo, and that's an hour 40, I said, or I believe something like that. So it's a while. So if you need to be there, though, we do have you covered because we have for you the Auburn, Indiana Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here is about $715, which is
pretty affordable.
Well under it's almost $500 under the national average. So
that's great.
It's very low. I found a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,272 square foot. So, it's a smaller house, but it's a nice little starter home. It's in foreclosure, Jimmy.
Oh, shit.
Swoop in and take some pleasure in someone else's pain if you want here. Not a bad little house, I got to say. Not terrible if you can stand the feeling of sadness there.
Yeah.
That you're taking it from somebody there.
The water doesn't run. There's
deal.
Concrete in the toilets.
Yeah, a deal's a deal, though. That's what I'm going to tell you here. $79,900,
and that is a deal.
That's a deal. Not bad at all. I found 15 acres of farmland.
Mm-hmm.
Just 15.
Just land.
Just land. No, not a structure on it. It looks fertile. I don't know much about farmland. But if I had to guess,
it looks like it smells like bullshit?
Yeah, it looks like shit will grow here. If you put some seeds down, they'll grow. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going to grow, but something will grow. $255,000.
For 15 acres.
For 15 acres. But if it's fertile, then you're making money off of that.
Shit,
It's an investment. Then I found you own all the factories here. You're doing very well for yourself. 5-bedroom, 7-bath.
Oh!
So T-bowl for each and every bee-hole, and then you can invite over a couple extra bee-holes to your house if you want. 7,363 square feet.
Holy shit.
It's like a town, this house. 6.5 acres it's on, too.
That's amazing.
Nice bunch of woods behind you. Not sure about the fertility of this acreage, but it's there. $1,250,000 for this house. It's beautiful. Stone.
Oh.
It's gorgeous.
If I could get away from everything forever, I would certainly do that. That's amazing.
You could afford $1 million, 1.2. That's the other thing that we'd have to throw in.
if you've got $1 million to burn and you need nothing else for the rest of your life, that would be great.
If you're very wealthy and retired, that's it's perfect there. Although it is cold here in the winter.
Yeah, it's near Ohio. It snows there, huh? Like a bastard.
It's snowing. It's definitely going to snow. Things to do here. Yay, here we are. The Auburn Cord-Duesenberg Festival.
Okay.
As you think you're going to get, obviously, the cars are going to be a thing. And this is right from their site. The people of Auburn, Indiana are proud of the automotive history of their little city, and justifiably so. Auburn was the home of E.L. Cord's magnificent Auburn Cord-Duesenberg Combine, and each year the city celebrates its historic connection with the Auburn Cord-Duesenberg Festival. One of the great traditions of the collector car community dating all the way back to 1954. It remains one of the greatest shows around, with a giant swap meet, a car auction, and a calendar full of events focused on the city's hometown marquees. So there's that. They have a bunch of local bands.
I want to see it.
I'd like to see some old cars. I mean, I want to see old cars. That's cool.
Of a company that ran strong for 20 years and is now defunct, and that long ago, like they were ahead of the game. I'd love to see what that car looks like.
Went out of business 80 years ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, I want to see that shit too. And problem is, I found reviews of this festival, and there's a Poughkeepsie Steakhouse vibe going on here with the Wednesday night only, because otherwise, very good steaks and delicious is Wednesday night.
Lots of Hawaiian shirts with Mustangs and shit like that all over them.
Well, it's mainly the music. That's the thing. They don't care about the festival. These aren't festival goers. These are people who live nearby.
Right.
This is a review from Kathy B. She gives the festival 1 star. She says, seriously, I'm 2 miles away from this concert and I can hear it like it's in my backyard. Ridiculous. I have 2 babies that are trying to sleep. She wrote this at the time it was going on, too. She's like, these motherfuckers, what? I have no recourse, and then wrote a review.
She called the police and they didn't do shit.
And then she went, Google. I'm going to Google review. If I wanted to hear the music, I would have probably went to the freaking concert. And guess what? I love this. And guess what? It goes on until 11 p.m., which means another hour and a half of this nonsense. She wrote it at 10 p.m., obviously. Or, well, I'm sorry, 9:30. Auburn is the worst, exclamation point. We really should have put that in reviews of the town, I guess, but didn't know where to put it. It kind of goes in there.
She just wants to get some fucking sleep.
She just wants some sleep. Jesus Christ. It's 9:30 already. I'm trying to get the kids to sleep.
That's the best review of all time.
That's amazing. I love that. And another hour and a half of this nonsense. Here's another review, 1 star, from Kristen Draper. She gave her whole name, didn't care. Yeah. She doesn't give a shit. Quote, this damn car show is annoying me, and my 1-year-old are trying to sleep. Keep your obnoxious bad music to yourself. There's a reason earbuds were invented. Please use them. How does that work at a concert?
Yeah.
Everybody put your earbuds in. Okay. Wow.
We're going to live stream the concert from a soundproof room, and you can log in on your phone with your earbuds.
Put your earbuds in, and we'll play it. And that way her and her 1-year-old can get some damn sleep, as she puts it. So that's reviews of the festival. Other people said they really like the cars, and it's a nice place and all that shit. But if you live nearby and you have a baby, you don't like it at all.
This is why you book good acts to play your festivals, because otherwise your local shit pollutes the air.
Yeah, you just hear like an ad of like a not rhythmic bass line.
Right.
You hear that shit go and you're like, I can't fucking take it anymore. Or this up Bandioki over there, what are they doing? Why is this happening?
The lead guitarist has a little solo where he bridges from Tom Petty into some November Rain.
You're like, I don't want to hear it medleyed with Freebird. Stop. Right. I just don't. I can't take it anymore. I've heard it so many times.
I don't like Hotel California when the Eagles play it. Stop this, sir.
I don't like that at all. And now you're playing it too. Somehow they got like a DJ thing going on. They just morphed it into Boston More Than a Feeling. I don't know what is happening right now, but my 1-year-old is screaming. So crime rate. Yep. What we're interested in here. Property crime is actually just under the national average, so just below it. So it's not bad. Violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and of course assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is about 1/3 the national average. So
great,
very low. Yeah, not a lot of murdering going on.
No, it's just it only spikes around that festival.
Yeah, when the bands are playing.
Yeah,
it's odd. The only murders that take place here are of local band members. It's a very strange thing.
Between 8 and 11 p.m. on the festival nights.
One was found with 3 bullet holes in his chest, all with binkies stuffed into them. It was very strange. We didn't understand. We figured that was a message. Just a little pacifier in each of them. And a rattle in their hand. We think it's a sign. It's a sign of the killer. So that said, let's talk about a murder, shall we?
I would love it.
It's time. Let's get into this. Okay, let's do this. We're going to go back to the early 90s.
Okay.
We're going to go back to 1992, and we're going to talk about some young people in 1992 and a carnival and Satan and a whole bunch of craziness here. We have to start with Andrew Lee Wright is his name. Andrew Wright. He's an 18-year-old young man who lives in Ohio. He's a carny. Okay, he works for the Carnival.
Oh boy.
And he's from West Milton, Ohio, this kid. And the Carnival's going to play a big part in this deal. And I have a story about a Carnival person too, so it's interesting. I'll get into that. So Andrew Wright, 18 years old. One day there are some deer hunters on November 9th, 1991. There's some deer hunters around walking through a field, and they come upon young Andrew. The problem is he's been stabbed to death in the neck and he's dead. So that's an issue, obviously. When you find a stabbed to death 18-year-old in a field, that's a problem.
Hunters find this shit a lot.
That's the reason. I'm sorry. Animals, yes, I don't really want to kill animals and all that sort of thing, but I don't want to find any bodies is why I don't want to ever hunt, because you will find a body.
Yeah.
You will. Eventually, you're going to find, if you go hunting, four-wheeling, things of that nature, dirt biking, bodies. It's all bodies. You can't go anywhere in the woods without tripping over an 18-year-old who's been stabbed to death in the neck.
Thankfully, everywhere I've ever gone off-roading, it's where a lot of people go. Nobody dumps bodies where there's a lot of people.
And if they did, they would have been found already before you got there, which is what you want. Yeah.
That's a good point. Perhaps there was one on the road that I took. However, there's been so many people today, somebody already found it. Yeah.
At least let a couple of caravans go in front of you and then be like, if there's any bodies, they're going to find them. And then while the police, right before the cops start putting up the lines and, the tape, I'll get around them and then I'll know not to go back that direction.
Right.
Because, not for nothing, but I can't help anyway. Right. I don't have no medical training, so that's not going to help.
But people that go hunting are interested in creating a body also, whether it be an animal or whatever, but they're still creating a body. I don't want to do that. I can't. I don't think I'm capable of killing a deer. I don't think I can.
No, you don't want to kill a deer?
No.
I like
meat, and I like eating meat, and I'm just not.
I'm a complete hypocrite. Don't get me wrong. That's the thing. I'll eat the shit out of meat, but I don't want to kill the animal. I'm not going to sit here and try to rationalize that or justify that. That's ridiculous, obviously. I obviously know the meat doesn't get it's not like beamed out of their body by a stream of light and then it grows back. I understand they're killed to give the meat. And I'm okay with that. I want to eat the meat, but like I said, I don't want to kill it. So
I'm incapable. The guy that was helping me do a shower renovation told me he has ducks and they laid eggs and he's got new ducks. And I'm like, what are you going to do with those? And he goes, I'm going to raise them and eat them. And I'm like, what? And then he killed one of the ducks and he came back the next day and he goes, I don't think I can raise those and kill them. He goes, I killed one. I don't want to do that again.
It's horrific. That's what my grandmother used. They used to steal ducks from the cemetery.
Oh my god!
From the cemetery. They stuffed her and her sisters. They stuffed them in the trunk and took them down to the Bronx like it was a fucking mob hit. They literally kidnapped them, put them down there, took them down in the basement, and feathered them and butchered like a mob hit. Throw them in the trunk. We're taking them down to the Bronx and get them in my basement. That's what happened. But they do it with ducks.
Drip dry them in the Bronx.
Yeah, they didn't care. Free duck. There it is.
No.
I don't know. They're not wild, really, if they're at the cemetery, I don't think.
Yeah, but when you go to the store, how much duck are you buying? And how much does a duck cost? Is it worth all the effort of drip drying it and fucking snapping its neck? That seems like...
For an immigrant? Yeah, she doesn't care.
You got a point.
I think she liked it. I think it's good. It's like working out for her to be killing things. She tells all the stories about how they used to kill all the animals. They'd have they'd all kill a goat every season, and then they'd share with each other, everybody in the village. Like you'd kill a goat, and then you'd kill your goat that you raised, and then you share it with everybody, and then the next family kills their goat, and then they share it with everybody. And it goes on and on like that. That's how it works. So
that sounds sweet. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, they'd make a huge deal out of murdering the goat in the middle of the town square, though, because it's, hey, this is great. It's for everybody. Yeah. So, but that was like a celebration. Kids, come play in the spurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got the jugular. Come dance in it. Yeah,
they treat it like a 1940s fire hydrant. No,
pretty much. Yeah, like kids out there. So stickball games are breaking out. It was wild. But I guess, it's a celebration of we have food now, though, I guess. It's better than not.
I just don't get it.
We're talking Nazi-occupied 1943 Italy, too. We're not talking like a...
This isn't Boston 5 years ago.
Yeah, this isn't a good time. This is bad times are going on, so... Anyway, Andrew Wright didn't have these bad times, but he did have one bad time at least, where he ended up dumped in a field. It's people say I've seen different reports that it's in Wauseon, Ohio, and then it's in Tidrow, Ohio. This field, so I don't know if it's kind of in between two places and. Some sources call it one and some call it the other. But he was slain here, they think. It's where he's killed. They said he was killed somewhere, and he was dumped along the Ohio Turnpike, and that's where they found him. That's where deer hunters found him. So I guess backtrack his life a little bit. On August 30th, it was the day before the start of the Fulton County Fair in Wauseon, Ohio, or Wauseon, Ohio. And they think that's the day that he was killed. And that's how that went. They think he was murdered that day based on when last he was seen.
Okay, so that was back in August, but we're in September now.
We're in November when his body's found. Oh boy,
talking about 3 months later.
They think it's about 2.5 months later that he was found here. It's kind of off in the woods. I mean, it's getting cold, but at the end, September's not cold. August 30th is not cold. That first month of decomposition is going to be.
That's a bastard.
That's rough. I mean, animals and shit like that. Those hunters did not. They remembered. They're never going to forget finding that. We'll put it that way, or finding this young man like that. I shouldn't say that, but it's. Yeah.
Well, I mean that scene, finding
that scene,
right?
Stumbling upon that, maybe that turns you off to hunting. Like, you know what? I'm not so much into hunting anymore. You know what I mean? Why? It's a pain in the ass. It's expensive. No, I just don't want to find any more dead teenagers. It's just
you find. Pain in the ass. It's expensive. Nope, that's not it. That's not the reason.
Decomps on teenage decomps. I just don't want to see anymore. You know what I mean? It's been a rough
What are the
season.
chances that you find another? Who gives a shit? I found one. It could happen again.
Every time you'd see a log, you'd be like, huh. You know, anything on the ground at all, you go, huh, huh. You'd be so on edge about it. I mean, and then if you actually shot a deer, you'd go over to it. In your brain, you'd see like a superimposed dead teenager. You'd go, oh God, I can't take it anymore.
I can't shake the image. When I blink, I see it.
Oh God, I can taste it. I can smell it. So I can hear the smell. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. You need that money a couple days early, or go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
So we need to talk about 4 kids here. We need to talk about, so he's dead, and hopefully there'll be no more. Wink, wink. Let's see what happens. So let's talk about 4 young men. Chapter 2. The Andrew Wright saga is back there. Now let's talk about 4 young men. Okay. First, we have the Lawrence boys. Yeah. We have David Andrew Lawrence. He is 19 years old. Or I'm sorry, Keith Andrew Lawrence. He's 19 years old. And David Lawrence, who's 22. Okay. So David's the older brother.
Their brother's got it.
But Keith is seems to be kind of the leader of the pack somehow. I don't understand how that works exactly. Have you ever seen a sibling combination where the younger brother is kind of
and the older is the follower?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that before.
I've not seen it in boys, but I've certainly seen it in girls.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen. Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to think of, like, my mother has 3 sisters. She's the oldest. I'm trying to think of the dynamic, but she
maybe
it's
and it has to be like much older. Does that make sense? Where like 10 or 12 years where the older sister is just like reliving her childhood through the younger sister, I think. But I've certainly seen that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's happened. I don't think I've seen it much with guys though.
No.
It's usually
generally the older brother, especially at that age, 18 to 22. Those are the differences here.
Yeah,
4-year gap.
19 and 22.
Yeah, there's no reason in the world that 19-year-old should ever tell that 22-year-old what to do.
That's what I mean, or influence him in any way. Yeah. Keep that in mind, I guess. Mark Goodwin is another one of these kids. So there's Keith Lawrence, 19 years old. David Lawrence, 22 years old. Mark Goodwin, 20 years old. And then Jimmie, just like you spell it, Jimmie.
Yeah,
Jimmie Lee Pennick.
Hell yeah.
Sounds like a race car driver.
That is a hillbilly right there.
That's Jimmie Lee. Old Jimmie Lee Pennick. Penick. So Jimmie Lee Pennick, 24 years old. So he's the eldest of this group here.
Poor
the elder
statesman.
statesman.
Called Penis his whole life.
Oh, Jimmie Lee Penis. Good to see you. Yep. How's it going? Hey, Jimmie Lee Penis. Come on over here. Ain't it funny he got such a tiny one and that's his name? That's hilarious.
First and last name.
Yeah.
Could be mistaken for penis.
The people in high school are not funny.
No, they're not.
And you know what? Lee, you can probably make into a penis pun somehow too, I'm sure.
Sure.
Just because it's kind of something there.
Because it rhymes with wee.
Wee. Lee with your tiny wee. So Jimmie Lee Penis, works for...
I'm such a child.
I know. That's why I said it, because I knew you'd laugh. And I saw you try not to laugh, too, and it just came out because you are a child, and you can't help it. So Jimmie Lee worked for Whisman Amusements out of Shelbyville, which is the town over from The Simpsons, which is pretty funny.
Really?
Isn't it Shelbyville?
I don't know. I've literally seen 12 episodes of The Simpsons.
Wow.
It's embarrassing. I know. That's
weird. I'm almost jealous because you have this whole.
I could discover it right now, James.
Yeah, you could. That's crazy. You've never. You don't even know what Mr. Plow is. That's amazing.
I don't know.
Do you know how? Is. You know how wild that is? That's so many people would be so jealous of you right now.
Is that crazy?
You get to rediscover that. That's wild. Good for you.
Discover it for the first time. And is it too late? I'm 40, James. Is it too late in my life to get into The Simpsons? No?
Nah, you'll be all right. It's fine. There's enough jokes for everybody there. You know what I mean?
But are they dated? Will I watch it and be like,
oh, the jokes from the early ones? You'll be like, oh wow, this is 1990. This is crazy. But
I've seen all the Family Guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's from 20 years ago too. So they go back about 20 years. But yeah, The Simpsons, you'll be fine. Check it out. You'll like it.
right.
It's still good.
I used to watch it when I was a kid, when it was like on late night. I had a little TV in my room that, but I had to like fuck with the knob so much to get it to come
it was
in
on
right.
A syndicated channel. It wasn't on a network. Yeah. At the time, it'd be like a syndicated. You give it a shot. I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it. You don't need to see past about season 12 probably. After that, it gets a little tired. And nowadays, it's really weird.
Is that when Sam Simon left around then?
No, he left early. He left after the third season. Yeah,
because I loved that guy. He was awesome.
Well, he was good. He's dead now. Anyway,
yeah.
So Jimmie Lee Penis again. Mm-hmm. He works for Whisman Amusements out of Shelbyville, and Goodwin, Mark Goodwin, and also Andrew Wright, the stabbed in the neck 18-year-old in the field, were both employed by a company called Poor Jack Amusements out of Milton, Indiana.
Are these both traveling circuses?
These are carnivals. These are carny companies that have these, parking lot carnivals, basically, that sort of shit. I guess some of them are bigger because the one was the county fair, so I think they do that. Depends on what size outfit you are, what the hell, what kind of, government contracts you're going to get, county contracts, that sort of thing. I mean, sometimes you just set on up in the Kmart parking lot, and that's a damn good festival. You could have a good weekend, but I mean, if you can get yourself some county land, that's something else too. You got parking at that point out on the grass. It's going to be nice.
Make some big money on those tickets.
Make some big old money on that. They worked for these companies. Paul Whisman, who's president of, shockingly enough, Whisman Amusements.
Sure.
He said that Jimmie Lee Penis worked for him for a few years. So, the penis, that penis boy he's a good worker. Whisman says, quote, he was a good kid. He never caused me any trouble. So Jimmie Lee Penis just does his shit. He checks the tilt-a-whirl or whatever and makes sure no kids are going to fly off.
Tighten up those fucking lug nuts.
That's it. And then just have a beer and kick back and make sure nobody dies. So
I don't know why that wasn't talked about when we were kids, that these are fucking dangerous.
I think they were. I don't know. I always looked at it and said, that guy doesn't look capable of
never
operating
mentioned to
machinery.
me as a child.
Nobody mentioned it. It was just one of those things you could tell even as a kid. Remember when you were a kid and they put you in a car with somebody you knew shouldn't be driving, because they were like drunk or something. And even as a kid, you were like, I don't think this person should be driving right now, but I have no choice because how the hell else am I going to get places?
Right, because I'm a child.
Because I'm a child. I feel like it's the same thing with the rides where I was like, I don't think this guy knows what he's doing, but they're putting me on it. So
I was more afraid of what the ride did more than I was afraid of what if it doesn't do that and it malfunctions. I never even thought about that. And nobody even put that thought in my head. Everybody was just like, it'll be fine. This ride has fucking tires on it. What are we talking about?
Yeah, why is it on like a cherry picker stand? What are we doing? How is that a thing? I used to look and see all the little bolts and went, nope, there's got to be. Because I used to think as a kid, if one of those bolts breaks, it's a problem, I'm sure, and that's a lot of bolts to depend on. Like one or two bolts we could work with, but you keep an eye on them. But 1,000 of them,
there's not one bolt that it's the magic one. It needs all of these.
It needs all. Yeah, that's what I mean. And they're not all just for show. One bolt and the rest are just like some flair. It's not like that.
They wouldn't put all these on here if they didn't need it.
That's what I would figure, and that's what I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. Just one of these breaks, I'm fucked. It's not like they're going over it like they're like NASA, like with a tiny flashlight, checking every little fan blade and bolt and all that kind of shit. They're just like, looks good. They start it up. If it spins a couple times, they go, yep, put people in it. Let's go, bro. Load them up. You got your pink ticket. There you go. And skee ball tickets. Yep, thank you.
Anybody check the O-rings? It's awfully cold out here this morning.
No, another one, Jack Bolander, who is the president of Poor Jack, the other one here. He said that Mark Goodwin worked for him for a while, and he said that he worked for him for several weeks, but he fired him in July because he was a shitty worker. So.
Several weeks.
Several weeks. Yeah. He lasted several weeks at a carnival. So one of Jimmie Lee Penis's coworkers said that he was sorry. We are children. I apologize. But just pretend his name is Penis and go with it. Pretend we're not children. And just
I already have.
Yeah, me too. One of his coworkers said he was, quote, very much into Satanism. about Jimmie Lee. And he's got in his apartment where he lives in his room, he's got he's got the upside down crosses and pentagrams and, the satanic.
He's living the whole lifestyle.
Satanic riffraff, rigmarole.
Paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia. Yeah, that's all accoutrement. So he's got all this satanic accoutrement here. And this isn't shocking here, by the way, because I'll tell you in a little while. But I have to tell you, I got a lot of this. There was one particular newspaper, the Daily Journal, in Franklin, Indiana, who really, really got into this story. And this is the end of Satanic Panic. Like this, it's still going on from like the early 80s, and this is the early 90s. And you know how everything takes a little longer to get to the Midwest.
Right.
So it's going to linger there longer, in the Midwest, in a small town especially. So they have a special report. It's up at the top in bold letters, special report, swayed by Satan.
Oh, boy.
So we're talking small town newspaper, and so I want to give them credit for this crazy shit. They end up doing a big profile on Mark Goodwin later on, the one who was fired after a few shitty weeks of work at the Poor Jack Company. Now, Mark Goodwin says that he was fascinated by the devil for more than a decade.
A decade?
Right? A decade. He's 20. So since he was 10, he's like...
Right, he's talking like he's 40, 50 years old.
About last decade and a half, back in the... since he was 10. Would he see a person in one of those, Target, devil costumes with the plastic mask with the thing, and he's like, I could see how people could be swayed by that.
What year is this? The early 90s? The guy watched MTV. He saw Motley Crue or some shit. Was like, what are these guys up to?
I'll show you what they have in the paper. They really blame it hardcore on Ozzy. It's fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is some Midwestern, back in the day, your video games and music will make your kids kill you, basically, type of thing. So he said, this is what it says, quote, Mark Goodwin has been fascinated by the devil for more than a decade. He worshipped Satan. That's the first lines of this article. They said, as the leader of a satanic cult, Goodwin killed cats in sacrifice rituals and drank their blood from their skulls.
From their skulls?
Because otherwise, how would you drink it? You got to use it like a cup, I would assume. And I guess at the neck, I don't know. The neck hole. This is worse than Pocket Robin. This is Pocket Robin. No, he cooked cats' heads, remember, in frying pans. That was pretty crazy.
That's true. Yeah.
He made a slurry and then did a ramen out of it. But this is just disgusting here. I don't even know what to say about that.
This doesn't even, there's no Iron Chef involved in this. This is just open it and drink it.
Yeah, he's just like a coconut. Like you're just cutting it in half and drinking out of the other half of it. It's pretty horrible here. And he said it was sacrifice rituals, and he would drink their blood there. He also had what they call, quote, wild satanic sex orgies.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
You could skip the word sex in that. They don't know that?
I mean, I guess just a wild... Because they use orgy for anything. They'll use an orgy... Like, if someone's eating a lot, it's an orgy of food. People are eating it. So I guess you could just be running around, running amok on Satan and not have sex. But, I mean, this is wild satanic sex orgy. As a teenager, I'm
pretty
sorry,
impressive.
But if I'm 16... and there's a wild orgy going on, I don't care if it's Satan or Jesus or whoever's putting this on. I am fucking there with bells
I don't
on.
care if it's Better Homes and Garden. Let's go.
I don't give a shit. I don't care who's doing it. I don't care if it's Martha Stewart's. I don't give a fuck.
I'll bring a basil plant. Let's do this.
You got it. I'll bring some deviled eggs. Let's do it. I mean, I'll bring an appetizer.
That probably goes with this too.
Probably. That's why I thought of deviled eggs. See, isn't that clever? I think everyone would bring deviled eggs though, and they'd be like,
you'd show up to
they'd be showing you around
a devil worship potluck fuck fest, and
that's all it is. You show up and there's one guy brought pulled pork, you know, somebody else brought a macaroni salad, and then they're like, there's that, and we have a lot of deviled eggs out there. There's just a lot. People, there's just stacks of trays of them. People just really...
just one of those funny, lifetime foldable tables just full.
Just full of them going.
All deviled eggs.
I mean,
it's going to be the grossest fuck fest you've ever been to.
We have to expect it. Everyone just farting all over each other. It's a disgusting mess.
And even if they don't, it smells like they are.
It does. It definitely does. It's stinking in there as the deviled eggs sit out.
I want to go to a potluck fuck fest. I really do.
Don't you know? A potluck Satan fuck fest? Doesn't that sound great? It sounds different anyway. I've never quite... I didn't know that existed, but sure. They would have. Where do teenagers have wild satanic sex orgies? That's the hard part.
The woods, right?
You really got to have a basement or something for that. Abandoned barns, and graveyards. They said you can't have a. I don't believe that. You can't have a wild satanic sex orgy in the graveyard. Graveyards are always near a residential area. People would be. You would hear that, I would think, or someone would see it. I would imagine.
You'd probably call that a threesome because there's not more than 3 people attending it in a graveyard, right?
How many people are participating in this? How many women are you convincing to fuck you in a graveyard at the same time? I mean, that's a stretch, number one, at the same time. In a graveyard's also a stretch. If you're going to put those two together, you're really slimming the Venn diagram of that is very...
Yeah,
it's very
you're whittling your
slim.
audience, that's for sure.
So, Jesus Christ, Goodwin claims to have made a pact with the devil.
Oh.
A pact with the devil. He made a real deal here to grant him anything he wanted for 20 years. Wow. Anything. He's going to have all the power. It's like murder was the case. It's bring your lifestyle to me, I'll make it better. But for 20 years, not eternal life. For
it's a 20-year thing.
Not that. 20
what year
years.
did he make this?
He made it like he's like 18. He made the deal for 20 years. So he's got a, I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah.
If you went to like the NBA and they gave you a 20-year contract, you'd be pretty excited about it, I would think. So here you go. He said that he had a lot of he was super into Satan while he was a student in middle school in Franklin, Indiana at Custer Baker Middle School. He would play heavy metal music, especially Jimmie, Diary of a Madman, the album by Ozzy Osbourne.
It's a good choice.
Yeah, that's what it is. And he said he wondered what the upside-down cross and the pentagram were on the cover of the album, which were just metal bullshit. I mean, they weren't really... You think Ozzy Osbourne gives a shit about Satan?
Right.
He doesn't care about that. He's a fucking businessman. He doesn't give a fuck about it.
I'll tell
he
you
likes
what it is,
booze
kid.
and
It's
coke.
called a prop. That's what it is.
Yeah. He liked booze. That's what Ozzy did. He wasn't like, let's go get into Satan. He just wanted to do a bunch of coke and fucking, snort ants and shit.
And piss on somebody.
Yeah. You've heard about his ant snorting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a crazy son of a bitch.
And his own piss.
His own piss.
All kinds of shit.
Yeah, that was with to impress Nikki Sixx
Yeah.
because Nikki Sixx did something crazy, so then he pissed on the ground and snorted it.
Unbelievable.
I don't even know if that's crazy or just stupid.
And then biting the head off a bat, which I've been told wasn't even a real thing, that didn't really happen. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what to believe with that guy.
Who knows what to believe with that guy? So he would do that. He said that friends told him that it meant that it was like devil worshiping stuff. Okay. So there was that. Yeah. So he said he was intrigued by it. And he said he was, quote, drawn to other students who dabbled in the occult. Okay. So there's that. He also read occult books, including the Satanic Bible, which, I mean, I guess that's where you start. That would be ground zero for getting into the devil. He learned that people believe Satanism brings them power over people, he said. So at 15, he formed his own cult, that's young. That's pretty young. Like Jim Jones was kind of forming almost like his own little like church groups back then, but it wasn't like I got a cult going on. Yeah. He waited till he was like 45 to do that shit. So this is,
Jim also focused it around Jesus, whereas this kid's
at first,
yeah.
This is about Satan, but I mean, this is
going the other way.
He called the name of it.
Yeah.
What do you think the name of it is? What would a 15-year-old name a satanic cult, Jimmy?
Church of
I'd call it Satan Fuck Party or some shit like that if I'm having satanic orgies, because that's going to draw the other kids in, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get members.
Did he call it We Got Snacks or some shit?
Satan's Disciples.
Okay.
Which sounds like a biker gang.
It does.
That just sounds like, somebody that the Hells Angels would end up like incorporating into their group.
I think it actually, there is a Disciples motorcycle gang, and I think that
there
those
was Satan
gangs
slaves back in the day,
Yeah.
in the 60s, and there was
those gangs form because they can't get into the other gang, like the good gang.
Sometimes, yeah, nowadays probably. So he had a group of, it was somewhere between 6 and 8 people, depending on the time, which is a pretty flimsy cult. But I mean, still, if you're 15, if you can get 5-6 people to follow you, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Most 15-year-olds can't get anybody to do anything. So I was completely ineffectual, I'm sure, at 15.
I would have never been able to form anything like that. Even today. I don't. Maybe today I can.
Get the hell out of here. You could form anybody who's a half decent comedian could fucking form a cult like that. Like that. Look at people that you see that are in front of literally 20,000 people at mega churches. Like if you watch these sermons on TV and shit. Any half-decent comedian has 10 times more stage presence, charisma, mic ability. To say, if you just replace, and you know how much fucking harder it is to get an involuntary responsive laughter out of somebody than it is to tell them something they already believe and have them cheer for it.
That's a hell of a point. Joel Osteen has done fantastic, and he's not even funny.
He couldn't do 5 fucking minutes at an open mic.
No.
Any half-decent comedian they would take over a church industry. They would be dangerous. They would be dangerous.
Right.
Because they would really, it's like a magic trick to be able to get people to laugh. So to do that.
If Sam Kinison bought that horse shit he was peddling at the beginning, he would have been a billionaire from churches. If
George Carlin went up in front of instead, a bunch of people, he could have gotten people to do anything. You know what I mean? Just because he's very, any decent comedian could. It's just the way it is. So just because it's harder to make people laugh than it is. I'm not saying we're special. I'm just saying it's harder to make someone laugh than it is to get them to, if they like Jesus already, that's why they showed up, and you go, praise the Lord, and then they fucking go, yay. That's much easier than getting them to laugh at, some story of you shitting your pants. It's easier.
I got so many of them.
So many. Jimmy's got a lot, locked and loaded. Jimmy was very sad about the 2014-15 every comedian has a shit my pants story, because he's like, this is my bread and butter. Like, this is who I am. This is my wheelhouse, and it's becoming passé. I don't like this at all.
Everybody's so proud of themselves.
Damn it.
I'm embarrassed by it, goddammit. Would you guys stop being so happy about it?
Which makes it funny. That's why it's funny, because you're embarrassed about it. So Goodwin would have 6 to 8 people, ranging in ages. Now, this is the part that fucked me up. Ranging in age from 12, which makes sense, 15, you'd get the kids a couple years younger than you, to 35.
What?
What 35-year-old would be like, this 15-year-old's got some ideas. I'm going to follow him in terms of his lifestyle. Oh, but right after he gets out of math class, though, because he's got gym third period, and then he's got math, and so
I've got credit card bills. I'm going to listen to a teenager about how I should run my life.
Yeah, about Satan. I haven't thought of it till now, but he seems to have a good point.
Yeah.
No. They would practice rituals late at night in barns near Franklin. They said, quote, in the dense woods east of Edinburgh or in the abandoned cemetery near Martinsville. As priest, Goodwin led the cult in a candlelit animal sacrifice rituals once or twice a week.
He's killing an animal at minimum a week?
And drinking their blood.
Oh, my God.
It's gross. Everybody else would get drunk, and he would stay sober, apparently. Yeah. So he was that kind of weirdo control freak. Manson handing out the tabs of acid and then never tripping himself, that kind of shit, So he drew a pentagram on the ground, and they would chant an invocation to Satan, quote, conjuring up demons to do our bidding, he said.
Okay.
So they're conjuring up demons so they could kill a cat, which I don't think you need demons for 8 people and a 35-year-old to kill a cat.
Sounds like that kid has the murder gumption of me.
Right? No shit.
He needs demons to help because he can't do it.
Help me do this, demons. The cat would be killed with a knife, and its blood would be drained into a silver chalice that was passed around for everyone to drink.
Oh, dear God.
Jesus Christ, that's disgusting and awful and horrible and disturbing.
The amount of disease.
That's just gross. The amount of disease, and no, that's just gross in 12 different ways. Not just the disease, the fact that why did we just murder a cat? This is awful. The hell is wrong with us?
If you can get through the part where you just killed somebody's friend,
yeah,
you know what I mean. To get to the gross part, the real gross part of ingesting
blood.
It's
yeah, that is disgusting.
My God.
You have a point there. So. He said, quote, this is a quote from Goodwin, quote, the priests and all the members were robed in black, except for the females who wore black lingerie or were naked. I don't believe him when he says that shit.
No.
You're not getting teenage girls just hang out with you naked in a barn, in an Indiana fucking barn in the summer. There's bugs and shit. They'd be like, I just got a mosquito bite on my fucking crotch. I'm not doing this anymore. Afterwards, it would be like an orgy, a lot of wild dancing. The Satanic choir would sing their stuff. Then they would delve into sex, heterosexual, homosexual, and bisexual, he said. Yeah, all of it, the whole deal. Whatever goes down, he doesn't care.
I want to see it.
Most of the time, and this is not surprising, most of the time, more men than women were in the cult. Well,
Yeah.
no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder to convince women. We're going to go out in a barn and do weird blood rituals with cats and then we'll all fuck each other. Guys are up for that. Not women are like, yeah, no. How about maybe we'll go to a movie? You know?
And the people that partake in this, nobody wants to fuck them anyway.
That's the other thing. Yeah, probably not. He said, quote, because women are more skeptical or frightened of Satanism, it was a lot harder to bring them into the congregation.
Well,
Also, they're a lot less like looking for that thing that guys are. Guys are looking for an identity so they can get women. That's what they're doing. Whereas
there
women
are more men that are interested in, really not necessarily interested, that don't care about fucking a whole bunch of different chicks in a night, no matter who's fucked them. There are a lot of women that, more than not, that don't want any part of that.
That's a hell of a point. Yeah,
Please
absolutely.
line them up.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to see. Oh, great. But I mean, every time a guy, especially a teenage boy, changes his whole thing, I was this, now I'm this. Look,
Right.
completely. Now I'm a goth kid, or now I'm this. It's because it's to try to get girls most of the time. It's to try to figure out a way that maybe this is an attractive persona that someone will blow me in, because no one will blow me right now in the persona that I've enacted. So he said that his beliefs about the afterlife are what he called the opposite of most people's. So, he's deep, man. He said, quote, heaven would be my hell. Hell, you can make it what you want, your own paradise.
Okay.
That's his version of that.
So it's not that he has opposite views. It's just he has opposite desires of where to go.
That's all. Yeah, he's got his version of a 5-star resort is a little different than some people's. Some people want a water slide, they want a world-class restaurant. He's looking for like a blood bar and an orgy pit. They have different wants.
And flames for eternity.
That's awful. Some eternal flames. His family knew he was into Satan. He says, quote, my father was not pleased at all. You think? Some family members told him, quote, if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe, even though we don't agree with it. He said, quote, others felt like they should disown me. They wanted him out of the family here.
Yeah.
They suggested, he said at 18, he left the Satanic Disciples, his own cult he was driven out of. Now, he wasn't driven out of his own cult so much as he chose to leave his own cult. Oh. Because the way he put it, he said that fellow cult members in the Satanic Disciples suggested killing a baby.
Oh, my God.
They said, what if we kill an innocent person instead of an animal? Let's kill a baby. Let's up the ante here. They said they considered it the ultimate sacrifice to Satan. But he said he thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Which is not a horrible thing or everything. That's not necessary. What are we talking about here? That's...
Yeah, but he created this shit and made them where they're at, and then he's like, "You guys go on. I'll go on without me. I'm going to leave now." Look what you did. You just created this monster.
You just set a big forest fire and then went, "Well, I'm going to go home for dinner now," and just walked away from it. There it goes.
Let it burn.
Oh, well, that's a lot. There's a lot of underbrush in there. That's going to burn for a while. He said, quote, to kill a kid for a ritual that lasts maybe 3 hours and the kid's life is gone for good, it's pointless. It's pointless. It's just not.
3 hours?
I mean, 3 hours. I mean, we can dance and we can fuck in its blood, but I mean, then what? Then what are we going to do? So, oh boy. He said he was still into Satan, but he just had to get out of that official group here. But he stayed out of cults to remain on good terms with his family members, he said. He's like, I didn't want to, I was still into Satan, but I wasn't like an outright cult person, just to be cool with the fam. You know how that works. He said, quote, I hid my religion so I wouldn't disappoint them because of the way society based it. I pretended to change so I would have a place to sleep. That's all. Then he gets a job at a fast food restaurant because he's got nothing else going on for him here. So that's when he meets David and Keith Lawrence. David 22, Keith 19. So he meets them. They start hanging out. And Goodwin really was looking for something, man. He was looking hard for things. In 1991, he joined the Indianapolis Guardian Angels.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which if you're not from the U.S. or if you're very young, you don't know. These were these group of people who would walk around and take it upon themselves to be basically like a violent neighborhood watch. You know what I mean? Like neighborhood watch, but we'll kick their fucking asses. And they had like berets and shit. And at first it was like it came up in New York City in the 70s when, but then dangerous. It got pretty corrupt, I believe, the organization, if I'm not mistaken. And, and also,
Curtis Leawood had good intentions at first. Yeah. He wanted to keep people safe on the subway and walk old ladies across the street without them getting...
Great.
Right.
Yeah. But, that's
and then
the
it
problem.
Turned crazy.
As every group does. Any kind of group where anybody gets any kind of power, it's going to go to shit. It's just the way it is. Everything becomes a cult. Even if there's no religion involved in it, there's a cult. Even these companies are cults, Yeah. Watch that WeWork documentary. That shit was a cult, period. I mean, they had like this cult fervor in their eyes when they watched a man talk about workspace and profits and shit. It was creepy as fuck. Creepy, dude.
Yeah.
Creepy. So,
what's it on? WeWork.
I think it's on Hulu, possibly. It might be on Netflix. I'm not sure.
I'll find it.
One of those two. But it's a crazy, crazy thing. So, he joined the Indianapolis Guardian Angels, but he was kicked out. Jesus Christ, this you don't want to put this on a resume of why you got. Well, I was in the Guardian Angels for a while. Oh, can we call them as a reference? Well, probably won't do much good because I was kicked out for killing a cat to use in a satanic ritual. So,
oh Jesus,
that goes against the bylaws of the Angels. Really, they're not into that.
They found out.
It's
How did a guy that's into the devil stuff get into a group called Angels? Why the fuck?
He's looking for something. Yeah. You could see he just wants part of a cult, a part of the Guardian Angels. Clearly, this kid's looking for a group to be a part of. You know what I mean? If it sucks, it's not the answer to everything, but it sucks that he just wasn't half decent at sports or something. He could have played, just something about bench warmer just to have some camaraderie. He would have done it. He just wants some kind of camaraderie, at least in sports.
I feel like his plan was to get kicked out of that just because Satan was a fallen angel. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's possible. He's trying to be a wise ass. Drama maybe would have been good for him. You know what I mean? He could have pretended some satanic shit. I don't know. Could have really put on some dramatic shit. He seems to like black cloaks and all that crap. He likes, pageantry. So why not? So now David Lawrence, let's bring the Lawrences into this.
Sure.
David Lawrence, he says, quote, I was never a Satanist. This is the 22-year-old, mind you, 19-year-old younger brother. The problem is my brother is one, his younger brother.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's the problem?
That's the problem. David said he first discovered his brother's interests in this sort of shit when he saw his necklaces. One is an upside-down cross and a pentagram / goat head medallion.
Yeah.
So he had that going on. And that his brother saw that and was like, oh, what's up with that? He also said quote, heavy metal rock music also led Keith Lawrence into Satanism, his brother said.
Okay.
He said, quote, from what I saw, he wanted to become a satanic philosopher. He went well beyond what people do with music. He made a Bible out of music. Every album was like a Bible in his mind. You take that way too far. Like, Anybody who takes any music that seriously when you're trying to find meaning in lyrics, just let me tell you, every song, no matter how deep you think it is, or whether it's 8675309, no matter what the fuck it is, it was written by a musician in 3 minutes while they were taking a shit. Just keep that in your brain. It's not special. They didn't cry when they wrote it. They didn't have a... They literally were like, I wrote this while I was taking a shit. Can we try to record it now? While an engineer sat there like, oh, can we get something going? What's up with this? We need to lay that other track. And there's all... It's not special.
They wrote that shit because it rhymed. That's why they said it.
Literally. It rhymes, and they wrote it in 3 minutes. There was no deep thought. There might be a couple of songs on the face of the earth, but not whole heavy metal albums that are that
song,
deep.
For What It's Worth, was written by the drummer, and they said, do you have any ideas? And he goes, I wrote this for what it's worth. And they're like, what's it called? He's like, I don't have a name for it yet. They're like, we're calling it For What It's Worth.
There you go, dickhead. There you go, Ringo. Throw it up.
That's why it doesn't say For What It's Worth in the song at all.
There you go, man. Makes fucking sense. So... he was really, I think, looking into shit a little too deep. And you get people that kind of get obsessive about things, and that happens too. David said that his brother searched for, all through bookstores for books on Satanism, obviously the Satanic Bible, another book called Magic, with a CK at the end, the 19th century Satanist Aleister Crowley, and several volumes on witchcraft. He wrote Magic, Aleister Crowley. Several volumes on witchcraft. David says, quote, I think anybody who wanted to research Satanism would be very satisfied with my brother's material. Boy, oh boy. He built a nice collection, apparently. Yeah. David said, quote, Keith became rebellious and hateful and hated everything. It bothered him a lot that I didn't become a Satanist myself. Okay. You can't expect others to join you in that. That's one of those, you have to know you're going down a path alone there. Quote, one day out of nowhere, he took a kitchen knife and chased me around the house and tried to kill me because I wouldn't become a Satanist.
Dear fuck.
Holy shit.
But what's your end game
scary.
There? You're not going to convert me. You're going to kill me.
I guess scare them into converting.
That's not going to do it.
I mean, it might do it for that minute, but after that is, I don't believe in it anymore. And it was when you're on the way to the hospital with your knife wound. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too. Yeah. They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. Yeah. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Keith ended up being sent away by his parents at one point to a private school for boys in Terre Haute for part of the year. But that doesn't change his behavior because then he's just around a bunch of boys, so that's even worse. Right. He doesn't even have to try to act normal, so girls will fuck him.
And Terre Haute is where a fucking prison is at also. That's just that's a bad town where they just try to reform people that are not going to be reformed.
That's a good, And if you wanted to reform this kid, I feel like rather than put him in an all-boys school, you should have put him in an all-girls school where he's the only boy in the class. He would have completely changed because he would have been like, I got to get my shit together. I got a shot at something. If I can keep on the straight and narrow here and not do any weird shit, I'm going to get a couple of these girls to do something with me. This is going to be great. He says that didn't change his behavior going to the private school. David said, quote, this was his form of rebellion. Somehow he found a religion that promotes hatred for all people. He said that David didn't avoid Keith, though. He didn't didn't want to not have anything to do with him. He said he spent most of their time together. They were always together, him and Keith. They were like best friends. They worked together. They did everything together. Like I said, they worked at the fast food place where they met Mark Goodwin. The brothers and their parents didn't talk much. They were kind of they kept to themselves because the family wasn't close.
Perhaps that's why this kid's so fucking mad. You know what I mean?
Which is part of the problem. We don't know what happened in their childhood. And I mean, is it just kind of a typical, we had an 80s sort of half neglectful raising, you know what I mean? Is it just that sort of thing of just like, I don't know, we'll be home later, use your key, watch TV. I don't know. One of those or feral upbringing, I'm not sure. He said he was the only family member that would talk to me with respect. That was the only reason I ever hung around him. A satanic brother is all I had. That's sad. Satanic brother.
Depressing.
That's depressing. All I had was my satanic brother. When they met, Goodwin meets the Lawrences. Goodwin also noticed Keith's necklace, and he asked him, "Oh, are you into Satan?" And he said, "Yeah." And then Goodwin was like, "Well, fuck yeah. More, high five.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do this. Like, we're going to have a picnic and do some Satan shit." He says, Goodwin now, Mark Goodwin says, quote, Keith made a whole lot more sense than a lot of my reading put together. He was talking about Satanism as a way of life. So now this kid is also swayed by a younger person who's a year younger than him is telling him about philosophy and life. And this makes more sense in the books. Like Keith is dangerous. He has the way he's so kind of fervorous about everything. He's got a potential to have a Manson situation going on.
He's got swagger.
Yeah, when this person who's been into Satan for 10 years go, oh man, I met him and he just made more sense than all my reading put together. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's fucking dangerous. So Goodwin ends up being so fascinated with Keith's ideas that he gets back into Satanism. Mm-hmm. He was kind of out of it after he got out of the cult. He would dabble a bit, but then he got into the guardian angels. He didn't know what he was into.
Right.
He was a dandelion in the breeze, He knew nothing.
Looking for a team.
He said, though, when he found Keith, he said, quote, I thought if I could hook up with this dude, maybe we could go somewhere.
Oh,
where?
Yeah.
What's the end game of having a great satanic cult? What are you going to get out of that?
Oh my God!
Is there a success plan for that? Is there someone to model yourself after? Or is there a lot of like?
Is that how desperate he is to be liked, though? That he found one dude that likes the same shit he likes, and he's like, "This is it." We found him.
Meanwhile, you both work at fucking Hardee's. You know what I'm saying? Like, figure out how to get better jobs and then worry about other shit around it. Figure out how to make a living first. No offense if you work at Hardee's, but for fuck's sake, it's not your end goal, is it? No.
Right.
You're looking for something better every goddamn day. You work at Hardee's.
Fill out applications on the weekend and you wait for the next job to come around. That's what you do.
I don't care if it's what's the step up from, I don't know, the Olive Garden, something. You step up. That's what you do in life. We've all done it. I worked at fucking Taco Bell when I was a teenager. We get it. So they became friends. They also, this is when they drew up a written contract with the devil.
Oh, boy.
They wrote it up.
Like he's going to sign it?
I love how I keep imagining what that negotiating session was going back and forth. Well, Clause 7, paragraph 3, I have to cross this out. You're making it doesn't even sound like what we want it to be. We said it's a silver chalice. What if we just put a chalice? They could put it in a gold chalice? That's not the same. It's got to be silver. Satan's never going to agree to these terms. He's just not. We're never going to.
And do you send it off and wait for it to come back stricken? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you
just send it off like a letter to Santa Claus, basically? So
you just go, these are our demands,
yeah,
and we'll give you our soul.
Yeah.
I mean, you do know the end game. The end game for Satan is he gets your soul. So I guess you could just write up whatever you want. Just be like, this is the only thing we're accepting.
That's it. Oh, it's a take it or leave it for the soul. That's all there is. And then you take it outside and burn it, I feel like. And then Satan, it's in the air, and Satan knows it's there. So they signed it. They signed it in their own blood as well.
Of course they did.
Because how else do you sign a fucking contract with Satan? Duh. Duh. He says, quote, this is Goodwin, if we do it, let's do it to the full extent and sign our souls. That's what he said. He remembered saying at the time. And they believed this pact would provide them anything they wanted for the next 20 years. So I was wrong. It wasn't when they were 15. It was now. How did I miss that earlier? So it was in 91. So first of all, you're writing the contract. Why 20 years? I get when you're 19, 20 years seems like a long time because you haven't been alive 20 years yet. But when you're 39, you're going to be like, holy shit, I got a lot of life in front of me and my contract's up.
Fuck, that was fast.
That was fast. If you're making the terms, just put 80 years, put 100 years. Who cares? It's your contract. You wrote it. He's acting like there was another side pushing back and they were negotiating. Jesus Christ.
Maybe he just felt beholden, like he owed something, and he wanted to give a good deal.
If one of these guys has a car for sale, I'd really love to know about it because I'll buy it. I feel like I'm really going to get a smoking deal on this. So Goodwin says he and Keith Lawrence thought then, quote, after 20 years are up, Satan can do what he wants or kill us. At the time, we didn't care. Once again, when you're 19, 39 feels like, well, I'll be way dead by then. Jesus.
39.
There's no way I'm going to live to 39. I'll be hit by a meteor. I'll be, bungee jumping accident. Something crazy is going to happen by then, I would assume.
20 years is a long time, but it's not that fucking long to where you give everything to something after 20 years of good luck, I guess. I don't know. What do you get?
No, life just leaks out like air from a fucking tire with a broken thingy, a broken valve. That's all it is. That's life. It doesn't. You hope for a big catastrophic thing.
Right.
Old people, when they see somebody's heart exploded, they're like, lucky bastard, because it didn't take them. They didn't have Alzheimer's for 5 years while they battled cancer and did all that shit. They're like, you lucky son of a bitch.
Didn't even have to forget where the bathroom is in the middle of your own living room.
A plane part could fall from the sky and crush them, and they'd be like, that son of a he hit the lottery. He was whistling while he walked through his yard. Didn't even see it coming. Beautiful. So now David Lawrence, Keith's brother, he's hanging out with them the whole time, but he's not into this.
Okay.
Which is, he's the worst. I call him the lesser Lawrence through this whole thing in my brain.
Okay.
Because get your fucking, even though he's not into Satan, making him probably smarter, but it's still, what are you hanging around your little brother and his other little Satan friend here if you're not into Satan? This is so super weird.
And letting them call the shots.
Yeah. He said he described himself as a passive bystander to the satanic activity, is what he described. He said he witnessed the blood signing ceremony, but didn't take part in it.
No.
He was just like, you guys go ahead. I got things I got to get done over here. You guys go ahead. He also watched his brother and Goodwin twice unsuccessfully try to communicate with the dead at an abandoned cemetery.
Yeah, you know why? Because you can't.
Because they're dead. They're fucking dead. That's why. They just went and sat at a cemetery and were jerk-offs. So let's talk about some carny action here. This group, they come across Jimmie Lee Penis as well, working for the Carnival. And at some point, basically all of them get jobs at the Carnival. They leave the fast food restaurant, and Goodwin meets Penis, and the Lawrences know Goodwin, and they're all into Satan. They all think this is quite interesting because Jimmie Lee Penis loves Satan as well, like we said before. So they're all into Satan, and they meet another young man who's interested in Satan.
Really?
We got the four now. We got Mark Goodwin, David and Keith Lawrence, and Jimmie Lee Penis.
Yes.
Add to this group William Anthony Alt. He goes by Tony Alt. Ault. Okay. Tony Alt. Mm-hmm. He is 21 years old at the time, just turned 21, and he's also a carny here. And Jesus Christ, he said they end up get with this whole thing. Now, Goodwin says during this whole time he's still having problems with his family. He said that all the guys were at this point. They were hanging on by a thread because they're into like Satanism and shit, and their families don't like it. He said, me and the guys had family disputes. We were on the verge of being thrown out on our ears. That's Goodwin said that. Yeah. He said in May he needed to move, and that's when they all found jobs at the amusement company that traveled to fairs throughout Indiana and Ohio. So you're a traveling carny. What do you think the accommodations are that they put you up in there?
I'll bet it's an old coach that all five of them have to sleep in together, and one of them has to drive it.
I figured it was the box truck that the ride came in.
Absolutely.
Like Steve Martin in The Jerk. And he lived in there, and he had us eating pizza in a cup and shit, you know. That's what I picture them doing now.
Sleeping in a fucking box trailer with the lady that rides the dirt bike.
Yeah. I'll be able to send more money next week. She told me she's going to give me a blowjob. So...
Awesome.
Now, they all get a job here, and in the coming months, they work for a bunch of different companies because there'll be one that'll come through, and then they'll get a job at another one. It's not like an industry where you really hang on to, this is my Carnival guy. He's been with me 25 years running the same ride. It's a transient job. And it is.
Do you remember the comedian here locally that got in with that fucking traveling circus, and that's what he does now? He still fucking does it, like 8 years later.
Jesus Christ.
The guy that got the Freddy Krueger penis tattooed on his leg. Yeah, I forget his name.
Yeah. I don't remember, but that's
psychotic. They
still
wild
do
thing
it. To do. I have this. I've told you about Satanic Bill. If you're a new listener, when I was a teenager, we're talking right around 1992, probably 1993. Right. A little traveling carnival came to the village of Fishkill, one of those little carny things. It was the Ames parking lot there, and it was in there by the OTB and the bagel shop and the Chinese joint and all that shit. It was in there, and they used to come through all the time, and it was a shitty little parking lot carnival. Right. And one of the guys stayed behind. And he was like 23. We were like 15. Somehow, my friend convinced his parents to let Satanic Bill move into the basement. We called him Satanic Bill because his name was Bill, and he was super satanic and into that sort of shit. And he had like pentagrams on his denim jacket and all that kind of shit, right?
I think you guys nailed it.
That we just said Satanic Bill, and we called him that for years. And he thought it was funny because he's satanic and his name's Bill.
And he stuck around the town.
He stuck around. The circus left, or the carnival left. He stayed in my friend's basement. Long story short, they got arrested while tripping on acid, breaking into a concession stand, and stealing candy like idiots. And Bill had a record, Satanic Bill, obviously. That's why he's in fucking working for a traveling carnival. So he went to prison for like a year and a half for stealing candy, and would write my one friend death threat letters from jail all the time that he was going to murder him when he got out, and he couldn't wait to kill him. And then when he got out, he went and he found him, and he didn't kill him, and the guy's parents let him move back into the house. And
oh my God, get out of here.
I swear to God. And then he introduced all my friends, not all of them, but about half of them, to smoking crack.
Perfect.
That's what happened. That's Satanic Bill. So this is the guy. I just wanted to say that to tell you I know this person very clearly, and it's Jimmie Lee Penis. He's Satanic Bill, I feel like. So anyway, they're on what they call the Carnival circuit, which is hilarious. Goodwin and Keith Lawrence, while they're going through the carny circuit, they noticed a lot of these carnies are into this shit too, because what else they got going on? So they said, you know what? We got to start a new cult.
Oh, boy.
Shit, I think it's time. Let's get the band back together. Let's do this, right? So they're going to do that. So in Brownstown, they recruited Jimmie Lee Penis of Shelbyville, who also said he was a Satanist. So he was like, shit, yeah, let's get it on. I'm into a cult here. So they end up crossing paths with another carnival worker, Tony Alt, as well, who's 21. Now, Mark Goodwin says, quote, I know for a fact that he was interested in Satanism. If he was actually practicing, I couldn't say. He wanted to find a crowd he could fit into. That's the general idea of a lot of Satanists. He just nailed it right there. They're just looking for a crowd and Satanist groups, like, they are accepting. That's one thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be any kind of, you don't have to have a good jumper. You don't have to be like handsome. You don't have to dress right. You don't have to.
Dribble skills can be thrown right at the fuck out the window.
Yeah, there's very few things you really have to do. You just have to be willing to hang out with these people and say dumb shit and be willing to watch cats get murdered, I guess.
Right.
It seems like the main qualification for this general group here.
You don't have to be fast. You just have to buy bullshit. That's it.
Pretty much that's it.
Yeah.
So September the 26th, 1991. Mm-hmm. Now, this is essentially 3.5 weeks after Andrew Wright was found in the field, stabbed to death, right? So, or he hasn't been found yet, but this is after he's been killed, actually. He's dead, but still sitting in the woods rotting. So keep that in the backstory there. Now, apparently, it's not a big mystery who killed Andrew Wright. It was Jimmie Lee Penis and Keith Lawrence, I mean. They killed Wright because apparently Jimmie Lee likes to talk a lot of shit about how much of a big badass he is. So he's a couple of years older than these guys. I feel like he wants to feel like he's got some sort of like, I'm a worldly son of a bitch. I'm Mr. Carney man. I've seen carnies you ain't never seen, buddy. You ever been to Western Pennsylvania? It's a whole other world in Western Pennsylvania, I'll tell you what. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a badass. So Jimmie Lee Pennick would like to tell everybody about like all the crimes he commits, and I'm really cool. And apparently Andrew Wright had been talking openly to other people about Jimmie Lee Pennick's involvement in crimes in Ohio, all around the state. That's the rumor going around. So what happened was Jimmie Lee Pennick murdered him and stabbed him in the neck. Him and Keith Lawrence stabbed him in the neck in a rural field, drove him out to the side of the road, and dumped him in the woods, essentially. So for talking some shit. Like they're fucking, Marlowe from The Wire. Like they're like got a massive enterprise or something.
Yeah.
What did he do? He stole a car in southern Ohio, and this guy's talking shit about it to other carny workers. Who gives a shit? They're going to need to kill him over that. So what ended up happening is that Jimmie Lee doesn't learn his lesson of stop telling people shit, and then you won't have to murder them for it, obviously.
Yeah.
And what he does is he makes sure to tell other people that they killed Andrew Wright.
Just mouthing off about it.
That's the thing, especially Tony Alt. He tells Tony Alt about it because Alt is hanging around this group wanting to be in the little Satanist group, and Jimmie's got to tell everybody what a badass they are. We just killed this kid over here and left him in the field and hail Satan, because he's blah, blah, blah. So he's doing all that kind of shit. Later on, a police investigator will say the bottom line is Alt had information of the previous murder. Jimmie Lee knew that. That's what we believe. That's what we believe the motivation was. So what ends up happening is Brenda Ferguson, Mark Goodwin asks a friend of his named Brenda Ferguson.
Yeah.
So he's got a girl here helping out now to help him find a secluded place where they could initiate Tony Alt into the Satanic cult.
Okay.
You can't just do that in the McDonald's parking lot.
No.
You need some open air for that, obviously.
Yeah.
An abandoned barn.
People judge and shit.
People looking in, people judging. Right. Nowadays they'd have their phones on it, obviously. Right. You can't just be out in the middle of nowhere. So they want to do So after the carnival closed for the evening, Jesus, there was people like, throwing darts at balloons trying to win Def Leppard mirrors, and then an hour later they're doing this shit. After they close, Brenda Ferguson drives all 5 of them to a secluded farm building and drops them off. We're talking the Lawrence boys, Tony Alt, Jimmie Lee Pennick, and Mark Goodwin. They're all going out there. So they're telling Alt they're going to initiate him into the cult here. They have a door that's been taken off, just an old door, and they lay that down in the center of everything, and they use the door as an altar. That's their altar.
They're
right?
sitting on it?
No. It's laying out there, and they ask Tony Alt to lie down on the door.
Okay.
So they go lie down on the door, and they bind and gag him. Okay, so they tie him up and they gag him because that's how Satan likes it. It's a lot. Well, hey, that's why you're going into a cult here. We all got to trust each other, and Satan likes it a little freaky. You know what I'm saying? He wants you to be. He wants to hear. He's into that. That makes him come. So he is tied up and he's gagged, and then Keith Lawrence reads an invocation to Satan. Yeah. Obviously, you can't do this without. Yeah, you can't do this without him. What are we doing here? So then Jimmie Lee Pennick asks Tony Alt if he's ready to die. Okay. So he answers, I guess, in the affirmative, because that's the whole thing here that's going on. Charles Manson used to do that with people all the time. Yeah, he used to say, "Are you ready to die? Are you ready to die right now?" And he would say shit like that. And then if they would say yes, then he would, embrace them, and that would be okay. That shows that you give yourself to me, that that you trust me to kill you, like you trust me with your life. That means I can.
It's fucking weird.
Trust you.
Yeah,
it's fucking creepy and weird. So, and it's just cult behavior. So anyway, of any kind, not just Satanists, of anybody. So, what ends up happening is, oh, Jesus Christ, Jimmie Lee takes a knife and he cuts Tony Alt from his neck to his pelvis.
Oh, my.
Slices him that way. Then slices two more from side to side.
Yeah.
Basically making a big I.
Big H.
A big capital, big capital I.
Sideways H, capital
big one.
I. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Right.
Capital I. He's alive while this is happening here. Jesus Christ. At some point during this, he's obviously alive and in a great deal of pain, and they're still talking to him and stuff like that. Mark Goodwin tries to cut the beating heart out of his chest while he's still alive.
Oh, dear God, what?
They peel his skin back, which isn't easy, by the way, with a living person, and he tries to dig out his still beating heart while he's alive. And he's telling him, like, I'm trying to get your heart. What the fuck? Like, it's absolutely...
That is unbelievable.
And he's bound and gagged and everything else like that. It's Jesus Christ. Other marks were made by Keith Lawrence with a knife as well on him. They did certain things. We'll get into the details of it. But poor Tony Alt remained conscious throughout all of this. Not only alive, but conscious.
Shit.
Knew it was happening. Knew somebody was trying to do this to him. Finally, though, Jimmie Lee Pennick is like, Jesus Christ, enough of this stuff, and finally just cuts his throat. This is like a mob hit from Casino.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like, holy shit.
Charlie fucking M.
Charlie, you made me pop out your fucking eyeball for Charlie fucking M. Charlie fucking M. That piece of shit. All right, so this is absolutely insane.
But still, like the cutting of the throat, that's not over fast. You know what I mean? This is fucked up.
No, and they had him cut open and marking him in different marks, and then it's absolutely horrifying. This is off Country Road 40 in DeKalb County in an abandoned barn somewhere. Finally, he bleeds to death from the multiple incisions and especially the throat cutting. He after Alt's stopped making gurgling sounds. Finally, Jesus Christ. Jimmie Lee was like, well, we know what we have to do now. Let's see here. Well, I'll cut off his head and his hands and we'll burn them.
Okay.
Obviously, because that's what you do. Clearly. So Jimmie Lee severs Alt's hands and his head. Cuts them off in a barn. Like, this is hardcore, and burns them in the fire. Everybody contributes to this and helps build the fire and helps dump his parts in and all that sort of thing. So, and then they dump him out. They dump him off somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then the four of them just continue to work at carnivals through the end of the season in October, like nothing happened. They just dumped him in a field, like nobody noticed. Nothing happened there. In October, Jimmie Lee returns to Shelbyville, and Goodwin and the Lawrences all head south. Keith has a beat-up van that they can all hop in, because these three, of course, they're in a van. I mean, there's no other, especially in 92. It's not like a cool hooked-up van that people are like making Instagram videos in. This is a fucking...
This is a Astro van at best.
This is a rape mobile at best. That's what this is. This is keep your kids away from this van. He names the van Rigor Mortis, of course, too.
Okay.
And they drive to Florida. Why? Because there's carnivals all year round in Florida, baby.
Ew.
Oh, my God. Jesus, this is terrible. Goodwin admits that he scratched an inverted cross into Alt's torso with the knife while he was still alive and conscious as well. Jesus. And, he was trying to do that. He also admitted that he helped everybody carry the dead body out of the barn. He'll say this later. They used the door as a stretcher, basically, to carry him outside.
Right.
And, cut off his head and his hands. And then, by the way, after they were done murdering poor Tony Alt, he had a few bucks on him.
What?
So, obviously Satan needs money.
Right.
Clearly. And then what would Satan do after he murdered someone in a ritual? What would Satan eat? WWSE.
What's the
what
dinner?
Would Satan eat?
What is the murder meal?
What's the murder meal?
Did they get steaks, James?
Fuck no. No. These are carny workers. Worse.
Yeah.
Arby's.
Yeah.
They used the victim's money to fucking eat Arby's. They had murder diarrhea.
Yeah.
They had the murder squirts, Jimmy. This is not okay. Let's get a beef and cheddar. I just killed my friend.
They got 5 for 5s.
Tried to cut his beating heart from his chest. Who wants a beef and who wants curly fries? What the fuck is going on?
That's what they got. They got beef and cheddar.
They got beef. Yeah, They got 5 for 5s, and they got curly fries.
Gross.
Because they did. They did. This is... oh my God! I'm upset with everything that's happened, and then that makes it worse. To take his money and
fed them all,
waste it on Arby's just really kills it for me. So, oh my God! They eat at Arby's in Auburn, the 4 of them. They had to have changed. They must have been covered in blood. They cut a guy. They made an incision, ripped his chest open, and then cut his head off. The blood comes out. I guess it wouldn't bleed that much after they slit his throat, but when they slit his throat, there'd be spray. I mean, that's going to be...
But if they went through the drive-thru, I guess you don't notice. If they went in, what's the best thing you say?
Oh, yeah.
That
then again,
Arby's
it's
sauce
Arby's.
Comes out of the packet faster than you thought. I don't know.
And again, it's Arby's. Are they really taking a second look at you, even if you're head to toe covered in blood?
Probably
even looking up from the register?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, how many beef and cheddars do you want? And they just type it in, and here you go. They don't
5
care
or
what the
10,
fuck.
sir.
Yeah. You son of a bitch! I was taking a drink of water.
Pretty well implied what's happening here. We know.
I just spit water all over the foam in my in our studio here. Oh, that's awful! I couldn't help myself there. Jesus Christ! What a mess. So, anyway, they eat at Arby's. So at this point, they do all of their things. Later on, a girlfriend of Goodwin notices, and she's a carny girl too. She knows the whole group. She noticed that Alt had worn a bracelet that Goodwin is now wearing, apparently. And so he's like, "You have that guy's bracelet." And then also she said that that Goodwin seemed nervous the day of the killing as well. What they thought was the day of the killing. She said around then he seemed real weird and nervous. So 2 days after the killing, she's like, "What's going on here? You seem all weird. You're wearing a guy's bracelet. Are you going steady with him or something? Like, what's the fucking story here? Are you about to dump me? What are you going to tell me here?"
Yeah.
And Goodwin tells her probably what she least expected to hear. In her mind, worst case scenario, he's going to go, "I'm gay with Tony and we fuck each other and sorry."
Yeah.
He instead said, "I witnessed a human sacrifice."
Okay.
Which is not what she wanted to hear, obviously. So keep that in mind here. They leave, though. Like I said, they all went down south. David Lawrence, who's the non-Satanist, who, by the way, was there, though, through all of this shit. That's when you check out.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care whether you're into it or not. You're doing it.
Right.
Who gives a shit if you're into it? He said, quote, I was stupid. I wanted to go to Florida so bad, and Keith had a vehicle, so he went with him.
Okay.
There you go.
So bad.
It's so fucking bad. So they went all the way down there. On December 30th, after returning from Florida to Indianapolis, Goodwin ends up getting arrested. He says, I didn't know it was coming. Well, how did he get arrested? Let's find out here. He told his dad about the whole thing. That's how he got arrested. Yep, he told his father, called him up on the phone, and his father, William Goodwin, told police in a December 12th phone call that his son described witnessing the murder of a man in DeKalb County as part of a satanic sacrifice. So, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just did it. So December 13th, state police officers ended up finding, because he knows where, because he told his girlfriend and told his dad.
Sure.
So they go out and look, and they end up finding, Jesus, must have been a bad find. This has been sitting there for months.
Yeah.
No hands, no head.
Oh, boy.
Holy shit! Cut open from the inside. So I mean, it didn't even need the skin. It would just rot. Oh, that's terrible. Found him in a farm field. They found evidence of a fire and nearby skull and hand bone fragments. Because when you just burn a skull in a campfire, it's not going to incinerate it.
No.
You know, it's not a.
Contrary to
it's not a cremation thing.
Popular belief, bodies don't burn that easy.
No, they really don't. They're really hard to burn, and then once you burn them, then you have the thing of the bones, and take excessively hot temperatures that you're not going to achieve in a campfire, to burn those. So the same day that all this happens, that they find that they find out this is true. Basically, they got this call, and they're like, "Let's hope this is a prank." It's not, obviously. So then they arrest Goodwin and charge him with conspiracy to commit murder. And then Jimmie Lee Penis is arrested at his Shelbyville home on a murder charge as well. Gets him every time.
Take that, you fucking dick.
Yeah, there you go. Jimmie Lee, right away he confesses to. Gives it up like nobody's, because he's proud of it, I guess. He confesses. Goodwin admits to witnessing the killing, even though he tried to pry his still beating heart out of his chest.
Yuck.
And the Lawrences were both charged with aiding in murder, even though Keith is pretty deep in this shit. He was found, Alt was found in a field. It was December 13th, 1991. He was finally found from September 26th. He's found in a field off Morningstar Road near County Road 35. So if you're from that area, maybe you know where that is. So Jack Bedan, who's a state police trooper investigator, he said that he was the one assigned to the case, and he said, quote, "It was a fantastically brutal crime up there. Yeesh. The savagery with which they dismembered the victim is hard for a lot of people to comprehend." Because it's fucking horrible.
It's a lot.
They tortured him. I mean, it's unbelievable. He said, the bottom line is that Alt had information of the previous murder. Jimmy Pennick knew that. That's what we believe was one of the motives for his murder. So they think that Jimmie Lee, that Alt found out about this murder in Ohio, and they think that he was, getting mouthy about it, and they lured him in under the ruse of, you can be in our satanic cult, but you have to get initiated. You have to do what we say. And this dude was like, cool. And then they, bound and gagged him, and they could do whatever they want to him.
Yuck.
So everybody's been arrested so far except the Lawrence boys. They haven't been picked up yet, and they don't get picked up for a while.
They're down in Florida.
They're down in Florida, so they can't be found right now. January 8th, 1992, though, Jimmie Lee is charged with murder in Ohio as well. He is charged here. He said that they believe that Wright's death was not related to the occult. He said, quote, "That's not to say these two individuals in Indiana weren't involved in that, but as far as our murder is concerned, there's no relation between any satanic rituals and the crime," which we find out, that was probably just because he was talking shit about other things that he did. But Pennick, once they get him into custody, he talks shit. He starts talking all the shit. He starts talking about, I've killed a lot more people than this.
What?
guys. He's pulling a Henry Lee Lucas here, where he's just going, I killed them all. He told police that he had killed someone in every Midwestern town the carnival had stopped, including a small child. He said. But they said there was never really substantiated. Badan said, quote, every place the carnival went, we looked for unidentified bodies, any kind of John Doe deaths, but we didn't find anything. But they also didn't leave him in places to be found as well. If you're leaving him in the woods, maybe you're not finding him. I'm not saying he did kill someone in every little town. I think he was trying to make himself a big hotshot. He was trying to make himself a Richard Ramirez, I feel like, where he wanted to be like this swarthy dude that a bunch of chicks would come and be like, oh, he's so dark and dangerous. I feel like that's what he's going for.
There's that, and then there's the part where a guy that's just a part of an occult thing that killed two people is just a turd in jail. You know what I mean? Whereas somebody that's a serial killer, that guy might get some respect in there and not be fucked with. He's
a celebrity at that point,
right?
He's at least, you get some kind. Yeah, you're right. It's either that. He wants something. He wants that recognition. As all these, that's why they were all in all this shit, because they wanted some kind of form of something.
Right.
Yeah. He says, though, quote, Pennick above all of them, when you sat and talked to him, you believe what he said about the Auburn murder, which is Tony Alt. So the Lawrence brothers are finally arrested on January 12th, which is a month after everybody else almost. They're arrested where? Of course, at Miami International Airport, obviously. Where else would they be? A couple of high-flying, swinging international carny folk here. Just
dressed like pilots getting on a Pan Am flight. Is that what they were doing?
Yeah, that's what they were doing. Dressed like actually flight attendants. They had short skirts on. That's what gave them away.
Yeah.
One of the Lawrence boys didn't shave his legs, and they just were like, no, look, something's off here. So they're arrested, obviously. They're arrested by U.S. Customs, actually. They use their passports to board an airplane flight at Freeport, the Bahamas. So they were in the Bahamas here doing carny shit, which was a clearance station for U.S. Customs, and they noticed warrants through the computer verification once they ran their passports. And they notified federal officials in Miami, so they let them get on the plane from the Bahamas and land in Miami. When they got off the plane, there's people waiting for them.
Brilliant.
Yeah, why arrest them on the island? So.
Yeah, why arrest them there? Don't come here and get them. They're coming to you.
They're
Gate
flying
A34.
right to you.
Just be there.
Just stand outside and wait. Yeah, it's coming like a package. So they were held in the Dade County Jail before being sent back to Indiana. They get extradited back there. I don't think they fight extradition. They'd been working for the last couple months in the Bahamas for amusement companies at carnivals in Nassau, on New Providence Island, and in Freeport on Grand Bahama Island.
That's why
it's a hell of a gig for carnies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's why you run that gig, so that you can go to places like that. That sounds awesome.
You work Ohio all summer so that you can go there in the winter. So now, if convicted of the crimes that they're faced with here, Pennick faces the death penalty, and the prosecutor says they are going for the death penalty on Jimmie Lee Penis. They want him good. Or
they want the penis.
They want the penis. They're looking for, give me some Jimmy. So they said if they didn't go for the death penalty, it would be up to 60 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. He is charged with, Goodwin is charged with conspiracy to commit murder and could receive 50 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Mm-hmm. The Lawrences each face up to 60 years in prison on charges of aiding in a murder, because they have a bunch of charges that all stack up. There's 6 charges that stack up to 60 years. Mm-hmm. So that's how that goes here. Keith Lawrence and Pennick been charged with the aggravated murder, and here I'll turn the monitor to you so you can see these 4 fucking idiots.
Yep, that looks like
exactly
what I thought it would look like.
Look at Keith Lawrence; he looks exactly like you think Keith. Jimmy Pennick kind of looks like a Charlie Sheen character, doesn't he? In this picture, with the short hair, kind of snarky.
Keith's neck, man. Look at the gullet on that kid.
He's got quite the lengthy neck on him,
and the larynx that pops out of that thing. Holy
it's popping.
Shit!
He's got an Adam's apple that won't quit, that kid.
It's from chin to shoulders.
Chin to shoulder Adam's apple. So they're trying to figure out whether the murders were human sacrifices or just, human or just bad homicides that resembled satanic rituals. So Jack Badan said, if the two defendants' minds going in there, they intended to kill Alt. He said they, meaning Lawrence and Pennock, Keith Lawrence and Pennock, used the ritual as a vehicle to do that. The others may or may not have known what was going on. We're still trying to establish that. Talking about Goodwin and David Lawrence. They said, we feel the satanic ritual was a ruse. We think it was a homicide to shut the kid up because he knew about the other murder. So they think it's not quite as all mystical as all that. They were just shutting somebody up like they were, John Gotti or anybody else. He also says, this is a judge now, says this, quote, this is one of the worst crimes ever to have occurred in the last several decades in DeKalb County. That's their judge, which is not what you want your judge to say.
I think my judge likes me.
I think my judge likes me. I think I'm going to get a suspended sentence. Right. Now, more Satanists. By the way, I love the term Satanist. It sounds like it's like a botanist or hairstylist or just like I just picture you fashioning Satan. You know what I mean? Just like let's put some curls on here. Perfect. You know what? It's perfect, Satan. Satan, you're going to be the best thing at the ball. I'm telling you right now.
Satan, you're leaving in that shirt? No.
The satanic ball, you're going to rule it this year, Satan. I just picture it's like a very, Satanist.
The two dudes from Best in Show dressing him.
Oh, and I pictured ladies. I was picturing ladies going, listen, Satan, listen here, baby. Like older Southern women, even, or like the makeup artists. Sugar. I pictured like that. Listen, sugar. We'll put some curls on you, darling, but I'm not sure. No.
You're going to put your tail up in a bun.
Oh, you know it. So the Daily Journal in Franklin at this point, and the whole area freaks the fuck out about Satanists. They go nuts. Yeah. Kids aren't allowed to play outside because the Satanists are going to steal them and carve them up in a ritual. It was 4 idiots and four carny idiots. That's all it was. But they're acting like it's the end of the world. There is a thing here, big headline saying blood and symbols worry police. Here we go. One of the quotes from Detective Gordon Emmert, let's make sure to credit whichever idiot said this, from the Greenwood Police Department.
Yeah.
He said, quote, it's becoming more predominant with the teenagers because of the drugs and the heavy metal music that we didn't have 25 years ago.
Okay.
You didn't have drugs.
You had Elvis.
You didn't have drugs in 1967, he just said. He just said we didn't have drugs in 1967.
Right.
You fucking dumb shit, idiot.
Or rock and roll.
Dummy.
You had it.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly, you guys hated him. Elvis, you fucking hated him. All those guys.
You hated all that shit. Yeah. So they said for years there's been rumors. This is by a guy named Brian Corbin, is the Daily Journal staff writer.
Okay.
For years, there have been rumors of Johnson County satanic cults that practice ritual animal sacrifice and devil worship. Often the only evidence of Satanism police have found were symbols painted on the walls of abandoned barns, which is also what kids do to freak adults out. Pentagrams and upside-down crosses, and the number 666.
Oh, okay.
Not numbers. Oh, Jesus. But the rumors became a jarring reality in January when 2 Whiteland brothers and a former Franklin man were arrested and charged with a gruesome mutilation murder in Auburn. We knew it was true. Everything is true because they killed this guy because he was going to tell on them. So it's all true. It's on William Anthony Alt. They said police believe the suspects were members of a satanic cult in Whiteland, and that the cult murder might have been a part of a satanic ritual. Whew. Mark Goodwin, formerly of Franklin, was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. They go through their charges. Authorities agree that there are other people in the country or in the county who practice Satanism, and that the county residents should be aware of such practices. But police don't want to unnecessarily alarm residents and say the number of people involved is small. Quote, this is Jack Badan again. Quote, there's involvement in Johnson County. He says, I don't want to scare people out there, but there's definitely a following.
Okay.
I don't want to scare people out there, but you should be scared.
Yeah.
He says that he hunts down tips and rumors. He says most of the time it's vandalism, spray painting, abandoned barns, churches, buildings, graveyards. He said based on the evidence, he believes Edinburgh, Franklin, and Greenwood each have a satanic cult group. He says most of the cults are 4 or 5 kids who get together.
Yeah.
That's not really a cult. That's 4 or 5 dipshits.
I heard tell of some rumors around it. The
Pray
fucking
tell.
police guy is running around chasing down rumors, James.
Now, I heard some things from the diner when I was down there. Now, I won't tell you who said it, but listen up now.
I heard Mary drinks between noon and 1.
I'm not going to say nothing, though. You shouldn't either. He said they're mostly troubled teenagers who might have been abused or have emotional problems or even use drugs. He said, quote, they're together because no one else wants them. They're not in the athlete group or the band group. They may not be in the drug-using group. Not even cool enough for the drug addicts, huh? Cults meet at night in any place secluded from prying eyes, such as barns, cemeteries, in the woods, or at someone else's home. That's where teenagers do everything.
Right.
They drink beer there. They smoke weed there.
They do it
fuck
because they
there.
don't want you to see it, no matter what they're doing.
That's what I mean, even if it's innocent. The Edinburgh cult was started by some 13-year-olds who are now in their 20s, the cops said. Another group has practiced in Franklin for 3 or 4 years. Quote, it's been here in Greenwood for many, many a year. That's Detective Gordon Emmerich.
Yeah.
It's becoming more predominant with the teenagers because of all the drugs and heavy metal music that we didn't have 25 years ago. He said he became interested in satanic activity 5 years ago when he attended a police seminar on occult-related crimes, which is fucking ridiculous. Look up Best of the Worst, the cults thing. It's on YouTube. It's hilarious. They actually have one of these old police, occult, what to look out for videos. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Like a docket for a team meeting.
Yeah, it's so bad, dude. It's so cheesy. He said he's been to 11 seminars since then. He said it's just interesting what they're doing. Just interesting. He said 3 years ago, police found Bibles burned in an old cemetery flower pot. They were used in a satanic ceremony, Emmerich said. Or not. Right. No arrests were made. He said there's no law saying that you can't burn the Bible, so couldn't arrest anybody. Right. You could be as weird as you want.
A year and Fahrenheit 451 around here.
A year and a half ago, Emmert went to the scene of a satanic animal sacrifice in the woods near US 31 and Interstate 465 in southern Marion County. A German Shepherd dog was killed and hung by its tail. Its blood was drained. Its heart was removed. He said there was no blood at the scene. They preserved all the blood for use in a ritual, which probably is true. Police believe the Lawrence brothers spray-painted satanic symbols on a house and post office in Whiteland in 1990, but it was never proven. The Whiteland United Methodist Church also was spray-painted with a pentagram at the time, and the Reverend says, my guess is whoever did the other vandalisms. So blame it on him. Goodwin used an abandoned barn to conduct satanic ceremonies and animal sacrifices. They said in the barn there's an inverted cross spray painted on the wall with the numeral 6 at 3 ends. Oh boy. Yeah. The vandals also spray painted Satan with a devil's tail extending out of the last letter. That's just funny. I have a picture of this, by the way. I'll post it as one of the pictures on social media. I have a picture. So
the Satan with the tail on the end?
It's fucking hilarious. The whole of that room. And there's like a cop standing there like looking at it like these crazy kids. It's so funny. And also COS, which stands for Church of Satan.
Okay. I was going to say company of, but whatever.
Either way. He said the cats were killed and mutilated in the barn, and the animals were hung by the rafters and drained of their blood. They said, quote, they'll take any animal they can get. Cats, dogs, raccoons, it doesn't make any difference.
Life's a life.
He said he rarely sees remains of sacrificed animals. He says, quote, most of the people, if they're smart, they normally get rid of the evidence. That's all, or they're not doing it, or it happens very rarely, which is probably more true. It's not happening all the time. And we're just not, we're catching 2% of the sacrificed cats. Imagine what's out there. He says, quote, I'm not sure if they are as dangerous as they want you to believe they are. Sure, they help decrease the cat population. What?
How much do you hate cats, sir?
Sure, they help decrease the cat population, but until this murder occurred, I don't think we've had a recorded satanic killing in Indiana. Jesus Christ. He does say, this is Johnson County Sheriff Doran Miller says Satanists are probably predisposed to crime. Probably, you know. through using drugs, committing acts of vandalism, but he's not worried about a future satanic murder within the county. He said, I would agree with Detective Badan that potentially there are people who are involved in those things, but they're doing it elsewhere. Not in our town, goddammit. I have not seen anything in all our calls that leads us to believe we have a problem to deal with here. Calm down, everybody. Police say that these, who cares here? The sense of belonging, this is Emmert again, this idiot. The sense of belonging is like joining a gang. In the 70s, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now it's sex, drugs, and Satanism.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. That's 4 kids. It's 4 fucking idiots. That's all it was. Not everybody. Jesus, are you fucking this guy? This Emmert's a dipshit. He's one of these.
Emmert's read about Charlie Manson and now thinks that's what everybody does. Anytime
and he went,
anytime there's 3 kids together, they're all over there with pentagrams and shit.
It's a big cult because he went to a fucking what are they called?
Seminar,
a meeting, a seminar.
Right.
There you go. So another guy, that Rasmussen, the minister, he said, where Satanism catches on in school or whatever, it offers something, friendship for kids, some kind of belonging. That's where they get their in with kids. Yeah. Gee, if there was only something else that would describe, who do they, something that needs friendship, some kind of belonging.
Right.
Who would look for people that are in desperate strange places like prison? I would think they would find them and things like that. It's very odd. It's a different thing. Weird. So he said Satanists, particularly teenage cult members, are, quote, very intelligent underachievers who are led easily. I'd say that a lot of times that's true.
Also, about 70% of the nation's population.
That's, well, not very intelligent. How many smart people do you know, Jimmy? Be
that's
fucking
a great
honest.
point. There are so many fucking dumb people.
So there are, and we're not bright, but
no,
I mean, there's
I'm
people
fucking dumb
that we look at and go, holy shit. So that's how dumb they are. Think about that. That's most of the population is stupid.
Absolutely moronic.
It's wild. I don't know how we found an audience of a lot of
normal,
people who
aren't
who aren't stupid. It's wild. Somehow we found it because when we meet these people, we're like, oh, that person was normal. This one was normal too. They were all normal. We'll go to the whole meet and greet. We're like, they were all normal.
Normal people.
Normal, smart, have intelligent things to say. Where the fuck are we finding these people? How are they out there? They said all it takes to get them started is someone with the gift of gab who's a bit of a leader that the kids can look up to. That goes for anything with kids, anything at all. You can start a football team like that too, just as easily if you got the gift of gab and you're a leader. He said for 7 years he's interviewed former cult members and passed along information about cults to police departments throughout the state. Stores have books on how to practice satanic and occult rituals when they're talking about the Satanic Bible and all that. And the pastor has something to say about that. He said, it is a counterculture to Christianity. There are all sorts of rituals presented in the Satanic Bible. You can find the Satanic scriptures in some bookstores. He said, cult members often sniff glue or use LSD to bring on a hallucinogenic state and enhance their rituals. He says, quote, they go hand in hand. It's part of the high.
Yeah.
They have no idea what kids do. Like, that's what I feel like. No clue.
They're too old. They've forgotten what childhood is like.
They have no idea what's going on. Because I was a teenager at this time. Well, barely. 92. I was barely a teenager. But, like, still, like, fuck. This isn't what we were doing.
I was closing in on it real close and I had no idea what... I mean, I knew what glue sniffing was, but I would never put together my friends huff glue and gut cats.
Yeah, let's do that. Those two things, that wasn't the next step.
No.
We just smoke some weed, let's gut a cat and drink its blood. We didn't have a chalice, first of all. That's the one thing. So the Badan says, quote, it's still a religion. It affords them the right to exist under our democracy. Until they actually break a law, they can fall back on quote, this is their religion. Evil is their salvation. Okay. So, yeah, they said they try to avoid things. The one guy says most police agencies stay with the convictions they can prove. Ritualistic opens up avenues for defense attorneys. So they don't like saying that because then you could say you're in an appeal. You can say you made it seem like he's a Satanist, which, swayed the jury away from facts. Here's Emmert again. I love Emmert. Let's hear what he has to say. Most towns don't want this publicity of Satanism, but they better open their eyes because it's all around them. This guy is fucking ridiculous. What a complete asshole.
I don't want to alarm you, but be scared because it's fucking
very
everywhere.
It's everywhere. The one guy here, the pastor again, he said churches need to be aware of it. Quote, we've got to find more ways in church to be more accepting of everyone. There are a whole lot of other groups out there that will step into the breach if we don't fulfill what we're called on to do as Christians. I guess that's a nice sentiment. Another Reverend Yvonne Trueblood of the Grace United Methodist Church, they say that sees Satanism from theological and law enforcement perspectives. Quote, I hope it is not as prevalent as those who are fearful of it fear it is. Wow, that's a really convoluted way to say that. I believe very much in forces of evil in this world, but I don't personify that as a power that hides in things and tries to grab our children. That's smart. Here comes Emmert again. Quote, they don't need to be worried about it, but they need to be aware about it. It's definitely going on. It's very secretive. That's why you don't know about it.
Right.
If you don't know about it because it's so secretive, it's probably because it doesn't fucking exist.
Right.
That's the thing about things like that. When you believe in crazy conspiracies, unless you see it, just ignore it. Because A, none of your fucking business, right. And B, it's probably not true.
All that horse shit.
Well, whatever. Any sort of bill of goods, he's going to be like, oh shit, yeah, I need that. So a state police investigator in the Auburn murder said, quote, I'm not trying to downplay Satanism, but I want the truth to come out there. Satanism is going on in the state and the county, and it's not something people should ignore. On the other hand, I don't want it to become a big issue when it's not a big issue. So be scared, but I mean, you don't have to be that scared, but be scared still. So they said that they get a little complacent, and then, quote, when something like this happens, it jolts you back.
Yeah.
Now that's the regular newspaper, which sounds just as crazy as it's exactly the same craziness as the Weekly World News, because I have that clip of this also, except the Weekly World News has an amazing illustration that makes it even funnier. Look at this, Jimmy. That's the...
Oh, for Christ's sake.
It's a cartoon devil with horns and everything, blowing like this terribly drawn fireball out of his mouth.
The horns are horrifying. His face, everything's so sharp.
It's so bad. And they say Satan worshippers slit man's throat and chopped him into pieces, say cops. Not into pieces. Only 3 pieces came off, but still. But I mean, it's the Weekly World News. Literally right next to that article is now a beautiful bust in only 1 minute a day. There's a picture of like some broad from the 60s in a fucking bra. And then,
and then this. Satan forced these guys to kill another guy. Do your boobs feel small?
How's your tits doing? And you know what? Maybe you don't need that, because you can also, quote, discover hidden secrets in your life, gain astonishing insight into relationships, finance, career, health, resolve personal conflicts, understand your dreams. How? With astrologers and psychics, because here's the line for that as well. It's got the pyramid with the eye on top of it and everything is their little thing. Oh, my God. That is fucking wild. The cover.
You?
The cover of it, Jimmy. This is the cover.
A bat with a human face.
It's a picture of a bat with a human's face like photoshopped on it. Look at its little feet. And it says, quote, he's as smart as a whip, says stunned scientist. You can't even get it out. That's too funny.
Holy shit.
So that's pretty goddamn funny. So anyway, they're describing Pennick and Keith Lawrence as the main doers here, even though Goodwin tried to pry his heart out of his chest. They're saying they're the main people, cold-blooded killers, all this type of shit. One of the Badan says something that would be abhorrent to a normal person doesn't faze them. That's what makes them dangerous. Right. Then he says something ridiculous. If they had money and means behind them, like some big drug dealers, they could be horribly dangerous. Thank God they don't. What would be the advantage of drug dealers, quote, sponsoring like a Satanist team? It's not above the rim where they're like The Wire, where they're fucking sponsoring the local ball team to fucking beat the next neighborhood and they're going to get the best. What would you gain by sponsoring Satanists if you're a drug
They had
dealer?
a whole bunch of money. They could have a big house and just murder a bunch of people in it.
Murder everybody. Just give them all the old doors they need to lay people on. Drug dealers are trying to
They
get
only
money.
had a Home Depot credit card. They'd clear out that lumber section.
Oh, I'll tell you what, they'd be building all sorts of structures. Drug dealers are interested in money, sex, cars,
right.
things of that nature. Generally not Satan. Like, fuck away from me with that Satan shit. I'm making money here. Drug dealing is a cynical hobby. It's not a cynical, vocation. It's
Business.
not a whim.
Yeah.
Yeah, vocation. It's a thing. So
Murder's bad for business. They don't want to do it.
No, that's not. It's bad. It gets attention. So now Goodwin is he's remorseful now.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of mistakes, and he gives a big interview to tell everybody that he's made a lot of mistakes. He's now studying the Bible and meeting with a chaplain in jail and trying to pull himself out of the lure of Satanism.
Oh, boy.
He says, quote, Satanism can be dangerous. Look at the situation me and the other guys are facing. Jesus Christ, look at that. He then says, quote, Satanism is like a drug that's addictive and harmful. You get high, and once you're over it, you've got to inject even more than the first time. It's the same thing with Satanism.
Is that real?
I don't think
Chasing the dragon with Satan?
I don't think you're chasing the Satan dragon.
No.
Which would be a great name for this episode, by the way.
Chasing the red dragon.
Yeah. Whoa. David Lawrence also, he says he just hung out with Keith. Remember? He said, I don't know. Now I'm here. What the fuck? I'm charged with murder. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even into this shit. That's it. So David says, quote, if you suspect anybody is a Satanist, do not have anything to do with them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Especially don't go to an abandoned farm, and when they start taking knives out, not leave and call the police.
Never got their
insane.
friend for them.
No, oh, my God. He said Satanism, this is a good one. Satanism can lead to a lot of problems. Depression, hardships with your family, mental disorders, actions that can be and will be regretted when you get to the end. That's good when he says that. He says that William Anthony Alt, Tony Alt, quote, he was a Satanist, but he didn't make it. He didn't make it to the club. He got killed. Goodwin says if he ever sees freedom again, he wants to start a program to teach young people to steer clear of Satanism.
I thought you were going to say start a podcast. Jesus.
He's going to start a podcast to steer young people away from Satanism. I believe Satanism brought me here. Let's just say, I go to prison. No, you are going to go to prison.
It's
You
gonna happen.
tried to pry a man's still beating heart out of his chest. You're going to prison for that. Let's say I go to prison. Let's just put it out there just in case.
Let's say worst case scenario.
Hypothetically, I go to the can, right? He says, I believe Jesus can free my soul. No man can lock that down. So he's easily swayed.
Yeah.
Just whatever comes. He needs something to believe in.
Whichever the way the wind blows.
Absolutely. David Lawrence said, if I didn't stick with my brother, this wouldn't have been into this here.
Yeah.
He said, even if somehow I walk from this charge, which isn't going to happen,
No.
I'm not going to have anything to do with my brother. Even if he gets released and tries to find me, I'll tell him, you're wasting my time, get out of my face. So he hates his brother now.
Too little, too late.
Too little, too late, fucker. Goodwin here did not admit guilt publicly, but apologized to the families of the victims. He said, quote, I regret it because that boy had the right to live, and so did Andrew Wright. Their families put time, love, and money into those guys. They're not a 68 Camaro. You didn't restore a fucking old farmhouse. What are you talking about?
They're not a Duesenberg.
They put a lot, they put a lot of money into that. The whole engine needed to be redone. They put new upholstery in the thing. It's a fucking
Stop making
classic.
these in 38. It took a lot of time to hunt down the alternator.
For Christ's sake. Put a lot of money into those guys, and now there's no more of them. So Jimmie Lee is in Ohio also, or Jimmie Lee Penis here. Aggravated murder in Ohio. He pleads guilty to aggravated murder now. Later on, he'll do it, and the sentences are going to run together. Judge in Ohio sentences him, you, sir, may fuck off 20 years to life in prison.
Okay.
20 years to life. This is after the Indiana sentence, though. It's out of order here for me. But now Keith Lawrence decides he wants to plead guilty. Mm-hmm. He says he's agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. And for that, he faces a maximum 30 years in prison. He originally faced a maximum 60 years in prison, but under the agreement, he could be sentenced to a maximum 30 years in prison, followed by a maximum 20 years probation.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you what, James, that's pretty fucked, because he's going to do all that time that Satan was giving him a pass for everything he ever wanted to do, all behind bars.
But that's he had the whole contract and everything.
His contract expires 10 years early.
Oh, man, Jesus, I'm sitting in here. I got a valid contract and everything.
I've only made it for 40.
Man, well, he'll live like a king in prison, just ramen noodles as far as the eye can see. So if he gets the maximum, he could be released in 15 years, though, for good behavior, which make him 35 and in his prime of his killing life. So
that's horrifying.
Anyway, they said that the condition of the plea agreement, Lawrence will have to testify against Jimmie Lee. That's the difference here. He says, quote, Pennick was the cutter. He was the one who cut him down the center, and he's the one who slit his throat. So Keith Lawrence sentencing comes around. You, sir, may fuck off 50 years for conspiracy to commit murder, but he suspends 20 of the years of the prison time.
Okay.
So he's got 20 suspended and orders, so 30 years, and orders Lawrence to serve those the 20 years that he suspends on probation.
Okay.
So he's got 30 years of prison, 20 years of probation. So essentially 15 years of prison and then 20 years of probation is what he's got. So he'll get out when he's 35. He'll be on probation until he's 55, essentially.
Yeah.
Which
he's going to be in and out of prison.
Pretty much.
He's going to fuck that up.
Well, let's find out.
Okay.
Goodwin and the lesser Lawrence. Let's find out about these two here. So, David Lawrence said, all I did was help carry the corpse out and then not tell anybody about it.
God.
I helped with the door. We all got a corner. You know what I mean? We helped with the door. I just helped with the corpse, man. He said, quote, this is in court, quote, I'd just like to say I'm remorseful for the death of Tony. I feel his death was an injustice. My sole influence was Keith. Mark Goodwin or Pennick were no influence on me. So he's just throwing his little brother under the bus as a guy who completely was in control of him. However, Keith Lawrence told authorities that there's no doubt that Pennick influenced him. He says, quote, this is Keith Lawrence's defense attorney, quote, Jimmy Pennick has influenced Keith Lawrence and influenced him to his detriment. Well, yeah, he's in murder. So David, now Keith got 30 and 20. David gets total, you, sir, may fuck off 8 years for assisting a criminal. He got a bunch of, something with a weapon. It was a bunch of charges that he got 8 years for all of them to be run concurrently. So
this is the most lenient sentences I've ever heard for a group of men who were talked about by the police like that and the judge.
They tortured and cut the heart out of him. Almost tried to cut the heart out of it. I mean, they cut his head off and his fucking hands off. This is insanity. This is all some heavy shit. To let these guys out, and I'm not saying to keep them forever, but don't let them out when they're still got a lot of energy left in them.
Yeah.
If they're 35, that's a whole lot of energy left.
Make sure
still.
those are feeble convicts that you're releasing.
Yeah, tired men who are just going to go sit somewhere. So, April of...
I need them walking around looking at things going, I could nap on that all day long.
That looks very comfortable. Are you sitting there? I want things like that. So Mark Goodwin here, he apologizes in court to the victim's mother. He says, who's Shirley Givens, Tony Alt's mother, during his sentencing hearing, he says, quote, Mrs. Givens, by the way, he's assisting a criminal, battery, and helping to conceal the body. That's all he ends up pleading to. That he said it 100 times. He took a knife and tried to take the still beating heart out of a man's chest, and that's all he got. I'm sorry, not enough. Mrs. Givens, I never really knew your son. Whatever I know, I do know he was a good-hearted person. I'm very ashamed of what I did to your son. Where she stood up in court.
Don't
and said,
say
quote,
heart with what you fucking tried to do.
Good-hearted person.
How dare you?
She stood up and said, quote, you damn well should be. What chance does he have now? What am I supposed to feel? Sorry for you? What? You should have never did it. Yeah. That's what she yelled back at him. So good for her.
Yeah.
She did.
I'm surprised she didn't say, don't you mention his fucking heart, you asshole.
Yeah, you fucking asshole. So Goodwin pleads guilty there, and The sentencing comes around. Before he sentences him, though, the judge asks him a bunch of questions. This is Judge Sherry. He said, "What was the extent of your interest in Satanism when this murder occurred?" He said, "I was more or less on the borderline. I was starting to leave the Satanic religion for quite some time. Before this, I attended churches of various types, but some asked me to withdraw from the congregation because they understood I was involved in Satanism, and they thought I would be, quote, evil seed to them." And he said after this rejection, he turned to Satanism. So they said, the judge said, "What role did Satanism play in Tony Alt's death? Was it a satanic ritual?" And he says, quote, "I don't believe it was because my past practices, initiations, and studies of other cults showed me the procedure was so obscure it wasn't even funny." Okay. He said, the judge said, "Did you think it was a sham?" And Goodwin said, "Afterwards, yes." So the judge pointed to a cross tattoo on Goodwin's hand, and there was an inverted cross. And he said, "Is there any connection between that inverted cross tattoo on your hand and the inverted cross carved into the body of William Alt?
Good question.
Since you did it, stupid." And he said, quote, "No, actually, it's a right side up cross." He said of his tattoo.
Yeah.
Just depends on how I have my hand. Fucking jackass. That's, come on, man. If I'm looking at it, it's upside down. Yeah. He said, "Well, I have this letter. It's a year old that you wrote from jail when he first got arrested, and it was intercepted by jail officers. He signed it at the end, quote, 'Hail Satan.'" So there's that. This is when he was feeling a bunch of remorse and saying that Satanism was bad.
Oh, shit. I forgot I wrote that.
Shit, God damn it, fuck. I'm just used to writing that, like the date in your check, you know? The judge asked him if he still felt that way, and he said, quote, "No, I don't." They asked him how he's changed, and he said, quote, "Christ."
Yeah. How have I changed?
Jesus
any way that will convince you.
Anyway.
Even this Hail Mary of Jesus.
Sure. Less time. So Goodwin turned around to face Shirley Givens and said that, "What I told you, I'm ashamed of what I did to my son." She yelled back at him. Goodwin then said, "This should not have happened to Tony. He just wanted to be accepted. He just wanted to be a part of some people who would make him feel at home." And so the chief detective here also testified, saying that the police might never have solved the case. This is a mitigator for him. They said, "We might never have solved it if Goodwin hadn't come forward voluntarily, confessed, and implicated the other three."
Yeah, well...
So this was all from him.
Yeah, but Goodwin didn't really come forward. He told his dad. His dad snitched him out.
His dad snitched him out, and yeah, that's how that works. So, but they said after that he was very cooperative, and he implicated the other three, didn't have to do that, blah, blah, blah. Because of Goodwin's help in the case, defense attorney Charles Retz asked the judge for a presumptive sentence of 4 years. 4 years he wants to give him.
That's stupid.
He tried to cut a man's beating heart out.
The judge wants to give him that?
No, his defense attorney's asking for this. Yeah. Quote, "Mark did everything everything he reasonably could to be expected to do, plus a lot more." Yeah, now, but not during a murder. They said, the prosecutor said that his participation in the murder, no matter how minor, required the maximum. He tried to cut a fucking man's heart out and carved a fucking cross on him while he was still alive.
Minor.
That's torture. What? No, sorry. So the judge said Goodwin showing remorse and cooperating were mitigating factors that called for a shorter sentence, but they were outweighed by several aggravating factors that called for a longer sentence. The aggravators included his juvenile delinquent record, his 1991 Marion County battery conviction, to which he allegedly broke the leg of his 11-month-old stepson.
What?
Yeah, fuck guy, right? Fuck this guy.
I hope they fry him.
So, wow. This is fucking crazy. He is, let's see, where's the judge here talking to him? The judge after this, he tells him all of that. He says it all outweighed by all that shit. You, sir, may fuck off. Let's see. What do you think he's got here, Jimmy? I'm going to give you a guess.
I wish the sentence was put into an air fryer, but we can't do that.
30 years in prison.
Oh, my. That's not enough.
No, I'm sorry. That's Keith Lawrence. Yeah. I read the wrong fucking thing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh, Goodwin sentenced you, sir.
Oh, the suspense.
Off. 8 years in prison.
What?
8 years.
He
tried to cut the still beating heart out of a conscious man.
After breaking the leg of a toddler that's not even his.
I'd give you 8 years just for breaking the leg of the toddler.
Yeah.
I'll be fucking honest with you. Never mind killing a guy. This is insanity.
Shit.
Wow.
The injustice. And James, in court, said he had a good heart. The one you tried to pull out?
To his mother.
Oh,
the guy's
boy.
mother. So, before he's let out of the jail, he says back to everybody, quote, "This is never going to leave me. I just wanted to make things right again as best I could."
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
And then he went back to his cell and was shanked by his cellmate?
One would hope, but no. Prisoners here are given 1 day of credit for each day served with good behavior. Mm-hmm. So with the time he's already spent in the DeKalb County Jail since his arrest, he'll be eligible for parole in 16 months.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. November 1993, Jimmie Lee Penis is the only man left standing here.
Yeah.
He decides they want the death penalty on the Penis Man. So he decides...
The only one erect.
The only one erect. The only one left erect, the Penisman. So that's great. Good job. So they... that's funny. So they end up making a deal with him that he'll plead guilty in return for them dropping the death penalty request. Uh-huh. So that's what they're going to do here. So they do that. He faces 30 to 60 years in prison. He admits everything. He says what he did. Other people, they all bring everybody in to testify him. They go over the fact that he repeated satanic chants, then cut him with a knife and made an eye shape and cut his throat and all that sort of shit. But the aggravating factors here, history of delinquent activity and criminal activity from childhood all through adult acts. He's in need of correctional or rehabilitative treatment that can best be provided to his commitment to a penal facility.
Yeah.
For the reason that his other shit hasn't worked, imposition of a sentence reduced or suspended would depreciate from the seriousness of the crime. He bound the hands and feet of a victim and gagged him all while the victim was alive, thus rendering him physically defenseless prior to the act of torturing and killing him. The death of the victim at the hands of him was painful and torturous to the victim. He then dismembered the victim. He tried to conceal the victim by throwing it in a field. He then knowingly ate food purchased with the money stolen from the deceased victim. He could probably appeal that because food is that's a slippery slope with Arby's. I'm not sure you can classify it. He could have said, no, that roast beef's not food. It's made of plastic. Give me a break here. Didn't really eat food. I spent money, but there's a word it differently.
Loose terms, sir.
Also, the careful planning and luring of the victim. And this is the second time also that he's murdered someone, because a couple months earlier he murdered Andrew Wright by also stabbing him in the throat. So that's the thing that he does. The one mitigating circumstance that he found, the judge, is that Jimmie Lee was cooperative and appeared to be open and truthful in the pre-sentence investigation process. Okay. Wow. The judge does say, though, this is Judge Paul Cherry. Here we go. Quote, "This is one of the most heinous or most heinous crime that has ever been committed in DeKalb County. You've had a horrible, chaotic, and abusive life, but nothing, absolutely nothing justifies what you did. You, sir, may fuck off 60 years in prison."
Holy.
For Jimmie Lee Penis. So he got the shaft, old Jimmie.
He really did.
Sorry. No, he got what he deserved, but I just needed to say that. He was the guy who got the shaft.
Deservedly so.
Yep. So if the Ohio and Indiana sentences are served consecutively, he will not be eligible for parole until he's 75.
That's great.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
The sentence... he said, quote, "One of the primary concerns I had at the time I filed the charge," as the prosecutor, "was that he not roam the streets again. I think he's that dangerous. This sentence assures that." Yeah, he killed 2 people in a fucking month.
Multiple
that
murder.
Dude had.
He's a bad man.
Yeah. So then they go into, there's an article, same paper, Brian Corbin again, why Satanism? And it's kids aren't fitting in with mainstream. And here's where it has this big article, and I'll show you this, Jimmy. What's next? What's in the frame of this big article? The Ozzy Osbourne Diary of a Madman album cover, which probably just sold so many more records in that area for him at that time from teenagers. It says... Mark Goodwin, now in connection with the murder, said he first became interested in Satanism through the symbols in this Ozzy Osbourne album. Oh man.
There's no symbols.
You see, counselors of adolescents say child abuse, emotional problems, and drug abuse lead some into cults where they gain a sense of belonging. They say a lot of times, police say heavy metal rock music and rebellion and its satanic references also make Satanism seem like the, quote, cool thing for some of the kids to do.
Look,
Parents,
pissed off kids are pissed off kids for a reason, and the reason is their parents are dicks. And if you love your kids and give a shit about them, they don't go murder people. That's just
generally not.
That's the way it is.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, he says, this is a counselor at the community high school. He says parents today have an awfully difficult job because there's just so many distractions. He said, many, more than ever, there are opportunities for youngsters to go the wrong way. Satanism is just one of a number of things parents need to be alert for. I mean, it's Satanism. It's, playing the flute. You never know. They get into stuff. They said there's some need to belong that isn't being met. These kids aren't fitting in with the mainstream, acceptable activities and groups. They're looking for an alternative where they feel like they belong. A lot have been physically or sexually abused in childhood, and this really undermines their self-esteem, he says also. So they said involvement in cults stems all the way back to them being abused themselves. He says they get in a spiritual thing, and they don't realize they're opening themselves up to a lot of danger they're not aware of. So this is just, another one says, common sense tells you if heavy metal album lyrics talk about Satan or offering up babies to Satan, that could be a clue. I don't listen to a lot of Satan baby.
Yeah, but
I've never heard.
I don't think I've ever heard a song where it was like, got a child for the devil.
Yeah, and Jay-Z said, I'm a bitch, I'm a pimp in every sense of the word, bitch. And people didn't go out and try to get a fucking... and try to go get a stable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is.
Drew Down was Pimp of the Year. I never tried to win that trophy.
Shit. He said
there's a line that you draw in entertainment, and you either listen to it and enjoy it, or you fucking try to live it, I guess. I don't know.
I suppose.
I never knew anybody that tried to drink the blood of a cat, though.
Neither did I.
And I listened to a lot of Marilyn Manson.
Here's words from Greenwood Satanist Daryl Farrell, 21. He says that half the heavy metal groups sound satanic and say Satan and die. He says it's all publicity. It gets more teenagers to listen. I'm not sure they're promoting Satanism. I'm not sure they're promoting Satanism as selling as many records as they can, which is exactly what we said,
right.
Which is that's a guy who's into Satan. He's like, yeah, that's not where we get our recruits. Trust me. We know where we get it, and it's from it's from his stepfather diddling. That's where it comes from. It's not from fucking Ozzy Osbourne's album cover.
Love your kids, but not too much is the answer to this.
There you go. So Jimmy Lee appeals on all this. He appeals at the mitigating factors and the aggravating factors and all that sort of horse shit. And he's just appealing the sentence. And they go, get the fuck out of here. We're lucky we didn't fucking tie you to a goddamn bumper and drag you for the last fucking 3 miles after what you did, you dipshit.
Drag you by a Duesenberg.
Fuck out of here. Yeah. Go. That would have been that's the center of the festival there. They explode him at the end. So February 2006, Keith Lawrence is released from jail.
Oh boy.
And it's part of his deal that he has to spend the first 5 years of his probation on home detention, but this is 20-year probation he has, but he gained early release from prison with a substantial amount of good time credit because he earned 2 college degrees.
Okay.
The first 5 years of the probation were to be electronically monitored home detention, but in a court hearing, they ruled that he does not have to be at home. He can go out.
Okay.
He can go out into the world. They said that Lawrence has, quote, gone the extra mile in turning his life around. He presented with the judge copies of general education and college diplomas. He earned his bachelor's degree in art and general studies. They also said that his sentence was well crafted. It made sense to provide the transition in probation. It was an aggravated sentence for a really grisly murder, the prosecutor says. It says that Lawrence needs the time on probation. He's not someone to be let loose on society completely. And I agree.
Yeah.
He's only 35, too. And they said that, all this type of shit. So he said that the judge says, fine, go on out there and do your thing. So that is February 2006. May 2007, he's back in jail.
Yeah, a year and 2 months. Yeah,
year and 2 months. He reportedly pled guilty to public intoxication in November of 2006.
Okay.
And that charge, he was sentenced to 180 days in jail. 2 other felony charges of criminal confinement and battery were dismissed because they were up there.
What?
So, yeah, he's now being held without bond for this and being scheduled for a hearing. And they said, this is the chief probation officer, it's rare for someone to be denied bond for a violation like public intoxication. He said, but Lawrence's original crime, aiding and murder, is one of the most serious crimes there is, so it's considered an extremely serious violation. Now, Mark Goodwin, he's out of prison too. Yeah. He's living in Indiana right now, doing something, who knows, there. Jimmie Lee Pennick currently resides at the Warren Correctional Institution, so he's doing a little less well.
Still getting the shaft.
Still getting the shaft. He, I guess he was first parole that he was up for was in May of 2017, but it was just continued. So I think they probably put another 5 years on him before they're giving him another 3 or some shit like that. So he's in there for a while. Let's just put it that way. There's that. And William Anthony Alt finally buried in a proper way at the Rochester IOOF Cemetery in Fulton County, Indiana. Yeah. So there's that.
And the lesser Lawrence has been out for years.
Oh, years and years. Yeah, he got out in 94. Like, he did like a year maybe. So that said, that, everyone, is Auburn, Indiana, and quite a tale of the Lawrence boys, Keith, the lesser Lawrence, Mark Goodwin, Jimmie Lee Penis, poor Andrew Wright, and poor Tony Alt. What a mess there, I'll tell you.
Jesus Christ. If he was
That's
around
a wild
more,
one.
this wouldn't have happened.
There you go. Come on, guys, get it together.
Wow.
So that's crazy shit. Am I wrong here or what? So if you like that show, tell the goddamn world about it. Tell us all. Tell everybody. Get on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon. Give us 5 stars because it helps. I don't know. Say anything you want. It doesn't matter. Say what type of cat you think is cute and you would never want to be sacrificed.
There you go.
There you go. That's perfect. The cutest, fluffiest cats you can find. And there's no pictures, but say you like a white fluffy one, it doesn't matter.
Name the color.
That's right. Follow us on social media. We're at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. You get all the updates for all our new stuff, anything that's happening, live shows, reschedules, all that kind of shit. Patreon stuff, alerts for different things. You never know. Speaking of Patreon, Jimmy, patreon.com/crime in sport. It was so good this week, guys. Oh, everybody. The episodes we just released on the first the backstage wrestler fights. We got to hear about a guy putting lighter fluid in someone's inhaler, and then there was gunplay in the locker room. Crazy fights. This isn't just like, oh, these 2 guys got in a fist fight in the locker room. People are stabbing each other. It's insanity. Not only that, but then the small town murder we did, maybe one of our best episodes of anything ever, the old-timey murders from the newspaper, where you can find out how you can how you can turn a man's head to jelly, number 1. And what was the other thing that was very curious?
A man is his own grandfather.
And a man is his own grandfather. You can find out how that comes to be and what he does because of that. The crazy shit that he does there. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/crime and sports. And if you're a patron, you get it's $5 and above. You get access to all of the episodes for both shows. Anything we put out, you're going to get it. And you're also going to be a producer. Yep. So we're going to love you, number 1. And number 2, we're going to say your name at the end of the show. Jimmy's going to try his hardest to pronounce it right, and he's going to fuck it up horribly. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well.
That's the deal.
That's the deal. And so that's patreon.com/crime in sports. Or if you just want to be a good person with great karma and who you also want to be a producer and get your damn shout out, have your name butchered, you can do that as well very easily by going to PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. That said, it's been a wild-ass episode. Yeah. Lots of Satan, lots of penis, lots of dead cats. That said, after all that, I need a cleansing, Jimmy. I need a cleansing. Cleanse me with the list of the most fantastic people who would never murder my cat and drain their blood into a chalice. Hit me with them, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Jordan Bennett. Dr. Terea wants us to know that doctors do listen. Nilu Rafsanjani started a new business, James, and in this fucking in a pandemic. Cool. She's taking a risk. That's amazing.
Good for her. She's badass, man. We like her.
She really is. She can do fucking all kinds of amazing things. It's impressive. Good luck, Nilu.
Absolutely.
Other executives this week are Frank Zecca, Brenda Wilson. She donated in the memory of Matt Black. Do you remember the family from Denver that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who you're
Matt
talking
had
about. Yep.
Matt took his own life, and his whole family obviously was suffering. And you guys unbelievably took care of them. And Brenda wanted us to know, and wanted you guys to know, they were very appreciative. And also, if you're struggling, fucking talk to somebody, anybody,
whoever.
It's awful.
Anybody's better than nobody.
Yeah, man, it's brutal.
Talk to a cat, even something. Just try to get it
honest,
out. Whatever
honest
you have, whatever's around.
Work hard at it. Jesus, it's brutal. Anyway, other producers this week, executives, are Melanie Blevins, Slow Tuggin' Brent Jorgensen, Krisha Brule, and also Olivia Picote Valdivizio. I think I got that right. Picote?
Wow.
Nice. Man, I don't know. I'm not good at this. Other producers this week are Mona Flores, who had a birthday, I believe. Julie Slamma had a birthday, and her Slamma Ding Dong told me. Also, Doug Shark Dangle Riddell is going to take his wife to the San Diego show if he knows what's good for him.
Take my wife, please, to the San Diego show.
Shark Dangle. Also, oh boy. Her name is Meg Megaligolovich. I think I got that right.
Wow, nice.
No. But she's concerned because Rabbi Shmulovich has not donated in a minute, and she wants to make sure that the rabbi is okay.
We hope he's still on board.
Also, Ashley Vio, Judge Smalls, Carl Kirshner, Alex C. Piella. They had a birthday, and Kayla told me so. So,
hey.
Alex, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And go Bills. That's their favorite team.
Oh.
They live in upstate. I think so.
They have no choice then. Go Bills.
Also, Peyton Meadows, Aaron Olin, Liz Vasquez, happy birthday. Liz,
Liz. We
has
love
been
Liz.
around since
Happy
the beginning,
birthday, Liz.
obviously. James Martyr, Thomas DeMello, Jalen Tross's cousin Luke is going in the Air Force. Fucking be careful, please.
Yeah.
Jennifer Stevens.
It's
awful. Yeah. I don't know how you could do that.
You don't want anybody getting hurt. I mean, hey, that's what I mean. Good. Hats off to you. Stay safe.
Serious. Thomas Smith, Joe Bascombe. He has a new son. Welcome to the jungle, Theo. This world is a nightmare.
Congrats.
Christopher Palco, Campaniello.
There you
go.
Campaniello.
All right, that's it. Steve Smith, John Daniel, Laura W. got Gerald Rubeck into this, so thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Janice Hill, Rob Roberts, Bob Bobbs, Alexi Knapp, Dr. Jeff Savarino, and Olivia De Rienzo. They one of them graduated, or both of them. They got a dog, they got married, and they got a mortgage. The achievements are blowing my fucking mind.
That's a lot of commitment.
Good for you. Congrats.
A lot of
Lauren Benish, a lot of commitment.
It really is. Wow.
Lauren Benish, Fatima Apollon, Kyler Scovbo. He says there's a silent letter, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out which one that is. Alyssa Linnell, Trixie Hellcat, George Reese, and Alleyway Jesus. George lives in Boston, and a fucking Jesus, some dude that looked just like Jesus, some homeless guy, wandered out of an alley and just started spouting unbelievable advice to him, and then disappeared. And I think George is using all the advice now.
Good for him.
That's either crazy or amazing.
I was going to say, he's either going to end up in a very great place or spouting unsolicited advice from an alley. Terrible. One of the two.
Brenda Wilson, Damon Stevens, Jennifer Stevens, Melody McKenney, Shannon Barea. God damn it. Yamin Therio? I'm uncultured. I don't know. Shelley Payton, Meg Kendall, June Cisco, Bob Mesmer, Skylar Bevan, Grumpy Parasite, Mitchell Griffin, Nicole Moore, Cole Blecha, Nancy Word Weaver, Natalie Leah, Meredith Barone, Rebecca Wilson, I said that, I think, Matt Miller, STM, and Piat Crossover. What's P-I-A-T? I don't know that podcast.
P-I-A-T?
A-T. I don't know.
H-T or A-T?
A. Like Apple, asshole.
I don't know. P-I-A-T?
Mitzi Callahan, Brandy Wilson, Tabitha John. What is it?
I don't know. They keep asking for P.S. I hate this movie, but that's not the shorthand for it.
That ain't it.
It's close to it, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Tabitha John, Adrian Brissett, Patty Bowman, Karine Chavez, Kristen Krabistig.
Nice.
Jonathan Carter, Thomas Dragon. Nope, that's Dargan.
That would be Dragon's a cooler name. You're Thomas Dragon now. Just
go by
live with
Dragon
it.
forever.
Go by that.
Chance Patterson, Chris Sather, Sarah Burke, Heather McCoy, Aaron Junge, Christina Brightlow, Billy Pike, Dixon My Hands. Yeah.
Yeah,
you happy?
Sure.
You proud of yourself? I did it.
I'm sure it is.
Mary Claire, Dustin Smith, Heather Djakovic. Nope, Djakovic. Chuck, Billy, C.J. Dickmeyer, Leanne Trombley, Justin McCarthy, Charles Brown, Marcy Ann, Ulysses Ramirez, Shannon Kincaid, Cindy Maddox, Travis Duncan, Michelle Dusick, Matthew. Nope, that's William. Muir. What? How did I get? Doesn't matter. Jess Dixon, Eddie Simmons, Catherine Davis, Haley with no last name, Morgan Hine, Chad Springer, Carl Schramm, Brian, Ben Fatty, Alexander S.C., Mariella Douglas, Matthew Tortolini, Robin with no last name, Jeff Petronella, that sounds like a candle, Kyle Regan, Emma Triangolo, Letty with no last name, Sandra Aldridge, 15, E. Municu. Somebody just mashed on the keyboard and was fine with it.
Just put it all in.
Caitlin Feniza, Justin Monson, Jesse Holenback, Carolyn Emerson, Chris Harnett, Matt Conway, 2 Hit 'em Quit 'em. Oh boy, don't do that. Connor McGough. Yvonne Holden, Fiona Kay, Jeffrey Antonick, Ashley Webb, Jill with no last name, Lily Galvray, Trevor Cozart, Pat Crossan, Fallon Grice, Matthew Cheney, Daria, Kurt, Brian Fields, Connor with no last name, Tracy with no last name, Mikok, I don't know what that is. Mikik.
Somebody's
Bobby Graves, Mason Rowe, Tempest, Sean Harrigan, City Bowring, Andrew Pettigrew, Matthew. Nope, that's Maggie. Why do I keep saying Matthew? Maggie Regalia, Kelly Petrie of the Dish Fortune.
Wow.
Melissa Weller, Blessings, and also Emily Gold. Nick with no last name, Allie McLaughlin, Masiak S, Suzanne Burns, Siri Alto, Marshall Arduin, David Newell, Christopher Dry, Mark Rainwater, Billy Bradfute, Quabian, Barbara, Quabian, that's a badass name. Scott
cool.
Littman, Lindsay Gofina, Samantha Fuller, Courtney Wesley, Andrew Wardrop, R.M., Ashley Viatri, Sarah Nelson, Jesse Bennett, Chris Knight, Samantha London, Chris Knight. What? Two Chris Knights,
well,
two different ones.
To both of you or one of you twice?
Yeah, it's probably true.
Either or.
Probably right. Sophia Silva, Chase with no last name, Kevin Campbell, Colin Forrester Hoare. Oh, boy. Susan Turchultz, Corey.
In the forest, what happened?
Corey Zarens, Veronica Mathis, Madison McGraw, Alan Sperling, Priscilla Diaz, Lacey Marino, Sarah Melvin, Cornucopia. Oh, boy. Klondike Music Company, Ainsley Guertin, Shane Harlow, Joanna Dennison, Jeremiah Jameson, Jess with no last name, Jason McQueen, June Bailey, Dawn S., Zach Alferman, Patty, Millardo, Griffin Talbot, Brad Davis, John Dyer, Annika Scoville, Michael Subject. Is that right? That can't be right. I didn't write Subject. Allison Bierman, Christina Barras, Jordan Beach, Nicholas with no last name, Randy Yore, Xander Mott, Sandra Yost, Aiden Blanco, Nick of Time Designs, D. No Mayor, Denomiar.
I don't know.
That's not right either.
Tanner Wagaman in front of me.
Kyle Childress, William Moore, Megan with no last name, Terrence McCarthy, Sherry Pacell, Eric Curtis, Kylie, Maynard Standard. I couldn't. No way. Is that? Oh, it is Kylie. The Y and the U are right next to each other. Tess Hupp, Nick Nuremberg, E.W. Calavari, Amelia Wilson, Matt Hutchinson, Telly Hickey, Elizabeth Greenup, Kayla Moore, Amanda Rubello, Amanda Hawley, Isabella Quintana, Ryan Miller-Shacky, Christy Burrows, and also Heather Yarborough. You guys are terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. Mm-hmm. Thank you for everything that you do for us. We really, really hope that you love the bonus stuff because we put out this stuff where we're like, what would we want to hear that's just funny and just wild and doesn't fit into different. You're not going to find it everywhere else, and it's also doesn't fit into our normal shows. And what's going to be hilarious? That's what we're looking for. Right. We just want you, the entire Patreon show to be. We want you to be in pain when you're done with a Patreon show because it was so goddamn funny. So thank you for everything you do.
And I don't want anybody having buyer's remorse. So we work really hard to give you guys the best we can. If we're going to get money from you, I don't want to mail it in. I don't want to give you anything shitty. It's just like our merch when we make things. I don't want you guys to have anything that you're like, well, I just bought it because I like them. I don't want that. No. I want you to love whatever it is that we're
be psyched.
Yeah. And we can't thank you guys enough for supporting this show, everything we do. It's amazing the support we get, and truly,
absolutely,
bottom of my heart stuff. Thank you. You've given me the opportunity to be the best father I can, and I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. What if they wanted to say something to you, Jimmy? How could they do that? You can find me
on the internet, at Whisman Sucks on Twitter and Instagram. My daughter made me start a TikTok, but I've done nothing on it. I did it just to appease her, and now I'm hoping she forgets about it.
Because she's going to send you videos, that's why. So it's good just to have so you can watch the shit she sends you.
Whatever.
So there you go.
Where can they find you, James?
I'm at Jimmy P is funny, and you can find us. I don't know. Goddamn Google us if you want to find. You know how to find people. We're all adults here, sort of, I guess. So find us. We're all adults, even though we said Jimmy Lee Penis 37 times this episode. It's fine. So,
and I still laugh.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So that said, holy shit, I think it's time to call it a week and get excited for next week because we will be back, and we'll keep coming back. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus